Make sure your microphones are on, they're all off currently.
I will start recording. Almost. Okay. Good to go.
Good. This is the call to order of the German Village Commission. Today is June 1st, 2022. It is 4:03 p.m. We're here at 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. The next business meeting will be Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022, at 12 p.m. noon, here at 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. The next hearing will be Wednesday, July 6th, 2 days after the holiday, 2022, at 4 p.m. here at 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. Go ahead and swear in staff. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. Morgan Graff.
Much. Through the introduction of commissioners present, start on the left down there.
Ned Thiel.
Jeff Ferriel.
Anthony Hartke, chair.
Brent Foley.
Expecting Commissioner Durst, who's not here yet. Do have quorum. All right, I'll move ahead to the approval of staff approvals. Staff approvals begin on page 10 of your agenda. Commissioners, a minute here to read through those.
Chair, I have none.
None for me.
Mr. Chair, I move to ratify the staff approvals.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We'll move ahead to the approval of minutes from the last meeting, May 4th, 2022.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes from last month.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. I abstain, just because I don't think I was here. One abstention. We'll move ahead to the staff recommended applications. Item 1, GB-22-06-023, 830-832 City Park Avenue. Applicants for 830-832 City Park. Sir. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Brian Graham.
You? Morgan?
Proposed work description is applicant is proposing to remove existing awning in courtyard area on south elevation. Install 2 new entrance awnings over the 2 doorways on south elevation. Awnings will be black fabric with aluminum frames that will be painted black. The single-family home was converted into a 2-unit dwelling around the 1940, which is indicated in a COA for variance recommendation in 1979, COA numbered 19475. The existing awning was installed in 1988, COA numbered 88516. Staff recommends approval with any clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate. This recommendation is, recommendation conditions, since an awning already exists, and it install awnings via mortar joints. This recommendation is based off of German Village Guidelines, page 100, page 101, number 2, number 3.
Anything else to add? Questions, comments from the commission?
Just want to confirm for the record, I know that Morgan read it in, but the intent is to install in mortar joints.
Yes.
I didn't see it.
Oh,
Sorry. There we go. The question for the record was to install in mortar joints for confirmation.
Yes.
That's considered.
thank you. There are no questions. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, on item GB 22-06-023, 830-832 City Park Avenue, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving ahead to item 2, GB-22-06-024, 576 to 580 Cedar Alley. Once you're all settled, both please raise your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state your name for the record.
Nathan Sampson.
Thank you.
Chelsea Dwyer.
Thank you very much. Morgan?
Proposed work description, existing building revision. The originally approved door to roof deck will no longer be proposed. The original window openings will remain and will be replaced with a new window from the approved windows list. The exterior Velcro door has been removed from the previously approved application. Applicant proposes to install wrought iron railings at east elevation steps as required by code to match previously approved railing at front entry. New addition revisions. The applicant is proposing to remove roof deck and railing from the previously approved addition. The parapet will drop 3 feet 1 inch from the previously approved submission. Add 2 gooseneck exterior lights above garage as indicated in drawings. Gooseneck light fixtures to be Barn Light Electric Company, the original vented warehouse series with G22 gooseneck arm. Add 1 exterior light at garage man door. Light fixture to be Bevlo exterior light coach house with Tudor scroll bracket as approved on 05/18/2021. Exterior painting includes, the applicant is proposing to the trim color to be Benjamin Moore 469 backwoods in semi-gloss finish, with the siding color to be Benjamin Moore 462 vintage road in flat finish. Staff analysis, project was previously issued a COA on May 18th, 2021, COA number GB 21040268. Staff recommends approval of any clarifications to be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate with conditions to lighten or darken the siding or trim to help differentiate the trim from the siding. This is based off of CC 311611 standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 10, and 12.
Anything else to add?
I don't think so. The one thing I think that has changed from the original application to this as well involves the window that we'll be keeping where the formerly proposed doorway was to the roof deck. That will be a refurbished existing window. And the way that the project has progressed, besides the French doors on the back and the window in the garage, all of the windows shown are existing to be refurbished.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Earlier conversation. Just a comment, I really appreciate the side-by-side of the approved and proposed. It's very helpful. Thank you for that. If I could, just to kind of summarize, essentially you're removing the roof down portion, what it is.
Just make one clarification for the record. It is stated that the wrought iron railing on the east elevation of the steps, it's going to match what's there, but we don't have a cut sheet or anything on it because it's going to match what's there. Any other questions?
Motion to approve item 2, GB-22-06-024, 576, 580 Cedar Ave. Easy for me to say.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes. The record show Commissioner Durst has joined us.
We do have a quick clarification.
Yes.
Is that approving with the color as well for those 2 options for the trim and siding?
I think so. I think it was approved as submitted, so I would say yes.
Since that was part of my
Tell the
recommendation.
difference.
I can't really tell the difference either, so.
Yeah.
We have houses that are all painted,
Monochrome.
monochrome,
Yeah, just wanted to clarify
I
that.
have one.
Need the samples back? And moving ahead to item number 3, GB-22-06-025, 780 South Lozelle Street. The record show that the applicants are still on record from the previous application.
Proposed work description, existing building revisions. Previously approved new skylights have been updated in new locations for coordination with roof structure. The previously approved exterior siding, 1x12 size, is proposed color to be painted SW 7674 peppercorn. The raised seam metal roof will be DMI, Dynaclad, dark bronze finish. Custom carriage door to have revised center panel layout per submitted drawings. Existing non-storefront entry door on South Lazelle proposed to be replaced with new design. Gutter and downspout finishes to match proposed metal roof, dark bronze finish. For the rear elevation, the sliding door location and transom have been revised to be coordinated with the structural layout. Transom height has been revised from 2 feet to 2 feet 3 inches. Previously approved COA number GB 2111-029, fire rated egress window width and height has been updated for code compliance with a height increase of 7/8 inch and a width of 3 7/8 inch. Exterior fireplace and chimney design has been revised from previously approved and will be painted Benjamin Moore, number 859, Collingwood. Proposed gas sconce locations as indicated, Bevlo, modernist flush mount, 19 inch by 7.5 inch, for submitted cut sheet. Black finish selected, finish to match approved new windows on addition. New addition revision include window locations and sizes adjusted for coordination with structure and plan layout as indicated. The multi-slide door trimmed to match existing. The timbers and wrapped beam sizes have been updated on the previously approved covered porch. Staff analysis, this application was previously approved in May 2021, COA number GB 2105-040, with additional revisions and fire rated egress approved in November 2021, COA number GB 2111-029. Staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate. Basis of recommendation is CC 311612, standards for new construction, letter A.
Anything else to add?
I think we covered all the modifications.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Two quick questions for me. The flower boxes that are being replaced, those are basically being replaced in kind, is that correct?
That's right.
And then what is the difference? The previous application said replace existing 1x12 siding. The new one says place existing 1x12 siding with new 1x12 siding. Is it just you're calling out the new color? Is that the change, or is there a material change? Is it still an in-kind replacement?
Same material,
Okay,
just color.
just the color change. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, on item GB 2206-025, 780 South Roselle Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes.
Thank you, Bridget. You got it.
Moving ahead to item number 4, this begins the continued applications, GB-22-03-013 Bravo, 304 East Kossuth Street.
I have tabled this application for applicant's request. They don't know that the sufficient material.
We need to do a motion.
I don't believe so. I tabled it earlier today, so. It needs a motion.
All right.
So you've continued it, you didn't table.
I've tabled it for now since he has been on the agenda a couple of times.
Withdrawn from the agenda.
Yeah,
Okay,
so just
withdrawn from-
withdrawn, they will come back with the same application.
So tabling usually requires a separate motion to take it off the table. So withdrawing it from the agenda is a much better maneuver.
Okay.
We got things right.
Let the record show
Let
it was
the
removed
record
from the
show.
agenda.
That's,
Withdrawal is an extra procedural step.
Okay.
That's why
A lawyer here.
thank you, Commissioner Perry.
All right, we'll move ahead to item number 5, GB-22-05-033 Bravo, 220 East Sycamore Street. Once you're settled, if you raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Steve Berg with Urban Order Architecture.
Maureen?
Proposed work description, applicant is proposing to remove non-original wood doors and transom and replace with 3/4 light smooth fiberglass doors and transom on the main entrance of the east elevation. They also would like to propose change 2/2 window for requests based off the neighboring properties and period of construction. Staff analysis, the existing wood 4-panel doors and transoms on the east elevation were replaced in 2007, number 07321. The following is taken from the unapproved May 4th, 2022 Durban Village Commission hearing minutes. Commissioner comments stating that at last hearing, commission would like to see at max 3 test cases for certain material. This would be considered an additional test case with fiberglass used in a front entry opening. Commissioners asked applicant to clarify what material they'd be replacing the wood trim around the door. It would be wood trim. Applicant stated yes. What would applicant propose for the new transom? Applicant stated that they would like to install a functioning sash. Commission requested to see the cut sheets and drawings of how the new transom will sit in original opening. Commission does agree with the new door change with the transom. Applicant has provided a measured drawing of the new proposed transom, including the new proposed 3/4 light doors for the east elevation. Staff recommendation, staff does not recommend the installation of fiberglass doors in original brick openings. Staff recommends the proposed style of door to be wood and low fiberglass and to install 2/2 windows. Basis of staff recommendation, the proposed work is generally consistent with 311611 standards for alteration, number 9, and Durban Village Guidelines, entrances and doors, page 60 and 61.
Anything else to add?
I think we're primarily talking about the fiberglass request, right? So I think we talked about a test case and maybe that is appropriate and looking at that as an option. And the other thing is that the existing doors are not original. And then we're on the side, so those are maybe some other reasons to consider that. And then as far as we already had approval for windows, then the request for the 2/2, and I put together a bunch of examples that are on this block with this style of house, and I wasn't able to find any historic photographs to say what they were previously, but they've all been replaced. We're just proposing to replace them again. Then next month, I will back and talk about the back porch and the details of that.
Questions, comments from the commission?
For clarity, I just want to make sure I understand it. The fiberglass door, you said it's non-original doors, but they are original openings. Is that correct?
They appear to be original openings, yes. But what is in there is really botched up.
Yeah.
Oh, and another clarification, we don't want the transoms to be operable, we want them to be fixed sash set in there.
Why not?
They're very small. I don't think it's necessary. There would be no difference in appearance from the outside.
Talk about these transients.
My question to the commission is, where did we come up with this policy of 3 test cases? I don't ever remember that
That
being.
was two hearings ago. We were talking about what material was it?
It was the siding material.
Yes,
Yeah.
LP Smart Side siding. We were discussing of 1 enough, 2 enough, 3 enough. And the discussion at the table centered around, majority of us would like to see 3 cases to make sure it's not a installation method issue,
Okay, so it's not a policy or anything else, it's just
more of a discussion.
We
pull it out of the air.
We slid down the slippery slope.
Yeah, we did, okay, that's my point. I'm not up for making another test case for fiberglass doors, we got enough out there right now. Go for it.
So,
So, clarify, you're of the opinion of,
We have no reports back on them. Keep the doors as they are and wait till we can say fiberglass is good or replace it with wood. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I tend to agree with that in this particular instance. It's not like a siding where there's like a backing or something that could be in the door, right?
Yeah.
It's hard.
I'm thinking the reports are gonna come back fine, but I'd rather wait and see them do it correctly.
And I'm torn because although the guidelines talk about replacing with historic materials, we know that the wood materials that are being used today bear only a modest resemblance to the quality, high quality wood that was on these original structures. So I'm torn.
I'm gonna argue that. Okay, certainly on Pella and Anderson windows, et cetera, not to mention, pick on that.
Yeah.
The wood that's used is not what we would expect from 50 years ago. That doesn't mean you can't get a custom door made out of poplar, which would be fine.
Well, having just put a new hardwood porch on my other house.
Yeah.
My only concern in terms of the statement that we have these out there in the wild currently, do we have documented manufacturer type and whatnot? Can we make a statement of if they all come back, if we identify what they are, we look at them and we say, okay, 5 out of 6 failed. Do we know are 5 of those 6 specific product, specific manufacturer?
I think that'd be working with HBO to make that decision.
Don't know if we
That's
have,
what we've been charged with.
we have the list of
Yeah.
where they're at and what they are versus. So to me, the question is, can we create that objective test case information?
So do we have 3 test cases for fiberglass doors already installed too?
We have 2. Well, one was just recently approved, last month.
We got the ones on the corner of Beck and Fifth.
Yeah. So this would be the 3rd test case.
The one in May was a gelled wen door. This one is a Thermatru.
Philosophically, when do we feel like it's good to consider materials different than a historic material? I know like the slate roof is a great example of it's difficult to get slate roofs now and the cost implications of that. And we've gone that route, to your point, we're down that slope already. Wood doors are not as expensive and inadvertently are sort of exorbitantly expensive compared to a fiberglass door. They're not hard to get. What's the point for a case study for this material in this particular instance when you can get what would have historically been there, which is more in line with the guidelines? That's a philosophical question, I guess, to the commission.
It's a good question, and I don't have an answer.
If I could respond,
Love your opinion.
a standard wooden door, we are replacing standard wooden doors that are 10 years old, 20 years old, because they deteriorate like these doors, and these are even covered. But they're deteriorating from the bottom, wicking up through the frame and the into the door.
So my
So,
question is, was maintenance done where they painted on the bottom? And that's usually the answer to that is no. The original installation didn't paint the bottom of the door and it was never maintained. And exactly what you're saying happened. Not arguing with it.
and this happens often.
It happens on windows. Exactly right.
I would say
So-
we've gone down the path of windows of,
Yeah.
we went through a significant effort to identify alternative windows that are out there. Say windows, doors, the same scenario, they're available, but we've seen time and time again, whether it's been a maintenance issue or whatever, that had not been specifically determined, but we went down the path of identifying alternative material that's readily available in the market. But it was a significant effort, brought in products, brought in vendors, tested them out in the wild, had review from all the commissions, not just Journey Village Commission, to get feedback. So barring another one of those exercises, putting some semblance of rigorousness and objectivity to a review, I think is what we're trying to do here, as opposed to just saying, hey, that.
Would that be worth engaging all the commissions on a similar effort as we did on the window.
I'm not sure, I mean, possibly, I'm not sure if that's been kind of been discussed in the office,
Yeah.
but the level. I can say go back and check. But as of now,
It's just a question, I'm just afraid of going down a slippery slope of
yeah,
In my experience, presenting to
of 4, 5, 6 test cases, because each one's a different manufacturer. I mean, you can get down to the weeds on it and just say, hey,
in my experience presenting to every commission in the city, I rarely get questioned about putting a fiberglass door anywhere. But this is unique.
we're a little different, the German Village Commission is different.
I
You
do
would agree.
understand that.
I bet you understand it very well.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
an
no,
Other
I-
commissions, but
Yeah.
Do we know what practice, if any, the Department of Interior is recommending with respect to either fiberglass doors or this test case concept?
Martha?
I've not heard any discussion about either.
I mean, I would imagine Department of Interiors would say not to use synthetic slate, not to use anything that's recreation.
I mean, but the only thing they've let us use was like a AZEC in place of wood on window hoods when they were exposed to the elements, because even the 19th century wood ones got wet and rotted. And our Park Service guy was like, yeah, the modern wood equivalent wouldn't even last. But he refused to let us do the bead brackets underneath that were protected by the overhang in anything but wood. So in this situation, it was protected, they would probably say it should be wood.
I mean, I know for Yankee Trader, for us, when we did that redevelopment, HRC would have let us use like aluminum clad window, but for our tax credits, we couldn't. So we have to wait till the tax
Yeah.
credits expire in order
Yeah.
to replace them for that. So Department of Interior is gonna be a lot more strict.
Well, I was surmising that might be
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
sure.
And I have a tricky time at some of these things predate me on the commission, but with using a material and trying to make it look like something that it's like, a fiberglass door that's made to look like a wood door. This conversation about garage doors, just make it a flat panel. door.
I've given up on garage.
Right, but I mean, it's the same
50 years after we start on that path, we're in Disneyland.
conversation. And it is, but at the same time, materials change. Got to be adaptive to changing conditions. So that's why I think the test case exists and why we've gone that route.
So along those lines, for the applicant's sake, Ned, are you for this door just in general, or are you saying no?
I think the right thing to do is to stick with a wooden door. We
Wood door
required
in this
that,
style.
pardon?
In this style.
In this style, I'm okay with the style, yeah. But it's a side door. I don't think being a side door makes it any less important that it sticks to what our guidelines say. I mean, I think we're stretching with the style. I think it should be a 4-panel door. But I'm not sure on an Italianate of the style and everything. It's pretty simple Italianate, but yeah, I could have had a glazed door.
Mr. Farrell, your thoughts?
So I think I'm in general agreement that this idea of a test case of 3 test cases is a good approach because of differences in installation. I'm a little nervous about the parade of horribles. Well, do we need to have a test case for different manufacturers of fiberglass doors? And of course, even the same manufacturer makes changes to its own line. So that path carries a significant risk of loss of wooden doors. So I'd be reluctant to go down that detailed a process of test cases. But I'm comfortable with the idea of 3 test cases of in a broad generic sense, fiberglass doors. The issue of four panel door versus glazed door, I think is a separate issue.
But just, I'm just gonna comment on, it. You're gonna get fiberglass door, different manufacturers, different qualities within a manufacturer
Yes.
that will not, at different, well, yeah, but I mean, just, I've got the Model A, which is my premium, I've got the OK one, and I've got the economy one. And I'm not sure, the idea is we're trying to make something that's sustainable and is historic and all that other stuff. I'm not sure getting that variety is gonna gain us anything. Nothing to stand on.
I get you.
I'm in fan of a wood door. I think that roofing, windows, the scale creates cost implications that are different. I know we're not supposed to consider cost, but it's something you can't not consider. The single or two doors. Put a wood door in, that's what it would have been. I think it's more in line with the Department of Interior, so that's me.
It is a side door, but, you know, I've been in this house, it's the entry doors.
We've all been in this.
Yes, everyone's been in there. Yeah, it's not like it's in a little 4-foot space between this wall and the next. They're pretty visible. So yeah, and other projects that reviewed also required to put in a wood door, even if it's a 3/4 glass.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that too.
I'm for the test case myself personally, but sounds like I'm overruled here. Any comments on any other pieces of this application?
Probably the 2 over 2 myself, that seems to make sense.
That's fine.
Yeah, it seems, the examples would make sense. Be great to know, but we don't know and it's not inappropriate, so,
Good finding myself.
yeah.
Imagine it wasn't.
Yeah.
Hearing no other pushback from anything else in the application, heard the comments about the doors themselves. Would you like to amend your application, or like us to vote on it as is? Or we could split it and continue the doors to another time if you'd like. A couple options there for you.
I will be okay with a wood door.
We'd like this to amend the application to have wood doors.
So on item GB 2205-033B, right?
Yes.
220 East, where did they go? 220 East Sycamore Street, I move to approve as amended by the applicant to make the doors wood.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Very much. Thank you. Morgan, as a side exercise after the meeting, we can go back and look. Anywhere we've approved fiberglass door, I think either, might not be primary facades, but we do have a bunch on garages and other kind of things. We can identify where those are.
Yeah, we can.
We can just do a walk and take a look and try to put that on the bed.
I think there's one on possibly Columbus that we approved last year.
For a door in general.
Just front door.
Front door.
Yeah, it was a duplex and it was just one side of the duplex. Yeah,
Yeah.
Right, we'll move forward. This is the start of the new applications. Item number 6, GB-22-06-026, 107 East Deschler. Let the record show the applicant is still sworn in from the previous application.
Proposed work description to remove existing treated wood deck and wood stairs on the rear elevation. Applicant is proposing to build a new 1-story covered porch at the rear of home. There will be masonry piers, painted columns, and wood railing. Applicant is proposing a metal railing for the stairs. Roof shingles to be GAF slate line English gray from the approved shingles list. Staff analysis, application was reviewed as a conceptual application in April 2022. GB 2204-028. Applicant has moved the central downspout to the outside brick piers to create 2 new separate downspouts. The following is taken from the approved April 6, 2022 German Village Commission hearing minutes. Commissioners asked if the existing porch stucco will be covered or visible when the proposed porch will be installed. Commissioners asked how old is the addition and when it was constructed. They asked if exploratory demo has been done to see when, how the addition was constructed. Some commissioners indicated less concern with what to do with the columns if the rear addition was originally a porch that was infilled between columns. Commissioner asked about the proposed shutters on the addition. Applicant responded stating they would be installing them to keep the original opening. Commissioners agree that the direction of the proposed porch is going in a good direction. Commissioners suggested moving the central downspout to have 2 on either corner instead. Commissioners mentioned that the roof line of the existing addition might have vent box gutters at some point, and if they were removed, they asked if the applicant had the intention of reinstalling box gutters to that addition in the future. The past June business meeting, the commission had requested a separate demolition plan of the existing porch that is proposed for removal. Staff recommends approval, then all clarifications and final materials list to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate with conditions that the roof be installed via mortar joints along the brick piers in order to not damage existing brick. The brick used for new piers and the brick used to infill the grade level man door to be submitted to staff prior to issuance. Exterior paint color chips to be submitted to historic preservation staff for final review and approval prior to application. Basis for staff recommendation is 311611. Standards for alterations, number 3 and 10. 311612, standards for new construction, letter E, H, and M. And German Village Guidelines, porches and stoops, page 68, number 3 and number 6.
Anything else to add?
Um, As far as the demo plan, I didn't really know what we're removing a pressure treated deck and raising the door. So,
The windows and everything, the openings are staying as we see them?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, except for the ones that we're shuttering, those will just shutter over that opening.
Yeah.
But the door literally just lifts up to normal height instead of that weird cut in basement level. And then as far as the age of this, detailing is very much like the detailing of the main house. So it seems like it would be constructed soon after the main house, then maybe infilled at some other point. But it's sort of weird that it's got an open brick crawl space that then has windows into the basement. So it's a puzzle.
So are you keeping that stone sill for the windows and just shortening it once the door goes up?
We are keeping the stone sill of the window on the back to the left.
Mm-hmm.
The door then goes up with a transom to the height of the French door.
So the right side window gets completely removed and
Correct.
replaced with the door and the transom.
Yes,
And you're putting in a new door, not salvaging the original.
we're putting a new door in.
Is it wood? Just kidding. Sorry. What's the need for that door? And I know we talked about this a couple meetings ago at the conceptual meeting. I'm having a little heartburn cutting through that beautiful old sill there. With the other door kind of right there.
So the real need is when you open that door, that lower door, there's a big space that is at grade and steps that go up.
Right,
into the
but
kitchen
you're
space.
removing that, right? Part of the kitchen now? Or is that a mudroom?
It's a mudroom now.
The
sort of
idea is
a
that door
mudroom.
goes into the mudroom.
Yeah, it goes into a half level, and then it's sort of odd that there's a closet at floor level, sort of up there. You know, it's like 5 feet up.
But in your new plan, is that all brought up to the?
That's all gonna be on the same, yes.
And so that door is then providing access to the mudroom, so you're not going directly into the dining room. is the-
That is, yes.
Okay.
It's really so that we can have level indoor space instead of having that space full of steps.
Well, I guess could it be done that you eliminate that weird basement door, get rid of the steps, but just leave the windows in place? Just not have a door to the mudroom directly?
It's possible. it would be my strong preference that we have a single door that is the everyday door and not have to go through a pair of doors.
The nice doors that, and presumably nice flooring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the idea is that's where you entertain, when you have something going on the deck, you have those doors open, but day to day, you're just going through that. How do others feel about that?
It's odd because the sill that you're talking about is engaged in the masonry going to the left,
But not to the right.
but not to the right.
Yeah, so maybe it isn't original.
I don't know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
that,
it doesn't engage in the pier, and I would expect it kind of to do that, but I'm not sure.
I think that goes back to the conversation we had at the conceptual hearing of what was this rear facade originally. It seems as if there was some infill between the piers at one point in time, which would explain
Why it hits the way it does.
the
Yeah.
funky sills, yeah.
And I remember us talking about the roof and the fact that the roof was built as one big roof, seemingly at the original time of the house, which,
Yeah.
okay, how did it all get, we don't know.
I'm working out my heartburn there a little bit better about it. That's been done for.
And the fact that there's no stone sills above those lower foundation windows either.
Yeah.
It just looks like steel lintel building.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this were built with the original house as an open porch, there would probably be a door at normal height. Up that forefront of this porch. And then when they did whatever. The basement is also strange. There's crawl space on either side, and then there's a tunnel kind of thing that connects these steps that were modified. It
Scared
looks
me
like it
to
was
install
constructed from inside.
those ionic columns and things. I'm like, what? And I realized it was the Doric you were going with, and I felt better.
I had a question.
Ionic Corinthian
Yeah, it's
column.
Corinthians.
Yeah, and the stone sill on the left side of the windows is actually flush. It doesn't extend out like that rear right window.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the puzzle part.
Did have a question on the columns. On your plans, you mentioned a tapered round Doric column. Is that the Greek Doric or the Roman Doric? There's one of each in the packet.
It's a Roman,
No flutes.
no flutes. No, we wanted to keep it simple. The front porch has a round column with a Corinthian cap. Seems crazy.
So that'd be the one on page 16 of the application. That's the one you're intending.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanna
So
clarify.
we should have called it out. I'm sorry, I don't have that.
Fine.
Thumbprint in here.
Yeah, they called out Doric, but there's a Greek and a Roman Doric option in the packet, so just wanted to double check. Any other questions?
It's gonna be nice.
Like a motion, Mr.
I would love a motion.
Chairman, if I can find it. Item number 6. Thank you. GV 2205-025-107 East Deshler Avenue. I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Great, thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Moving ahead to item number 7, GB-22-06-027, 808 Yeager Street. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Michael Gallagher.
Thank you. Morgan?
proposed work description, replace the existing fence along south property line and extend fence with 7 feet, or extend fence 7 feet to the west of south property line. Fence to be board on board, 6 feet high, wood fence with all straight cut vertical boards installed with a top and bottom rail cap placed between the 4-inch by 4-inch wood posts. Create a separate limestone retaining wall on south elevation to raise the new fence, including new bluestones for walkway area between gate and driveway. Staff analysis: when applicant initially submitted an application, the proposed work included a shadow box design with a double stacked 6x6 treated lumber retaining wall to match the existing treated lumber curve and did not indicate what the said fencing enclosure was intended for. Staff advised that treated lumber would not be appropriate and suggested proposing a limestone wall in lieu of the treated lumber. Staff also suggested proposing the board-to-board style in lieu of shadow box and to indicate the use in their site plan, which has been changed in the supporting materials. At the past June business meeting, commissioners asked to clarify if the 6-foot height mentioned is from the top of the retaining wall. Commissioners say that the 6-foot height should be measured from the public way. Commissioners also requested staff to review previous landscape application and to add the information into the application for reference. Landscaping work and fence replacement was approved in 2014, but does not list treated lumber along Timbecker Lane. Fence replacement in addition of a rear landing was approved in 2019, but does not appear that the work has been completed. Staff recommends approval of any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the following conditions: for the fence to be installed 6 feet high on grade in lieu of installing retaining wall, and removal of existing pressure-treated lumber curb along the alley. Fence paint, stain, color chips to be submitted to Historic Preservation Office staff for final review and approval prior to application. Basis for staff recommendation is 311613, standards for site improvements, letter B, German Village Guidelines, fences and walls, page 118, number 2, 5, 7, and 8.
Anything else to add?
If you notice one of the pictures that I submitted, looks like an episode of Tool Time. I'm standing in the backyard. Actually, the fence comes up to my lower lip. My wife and I are seeking to actually create a privacy fence out of the privacy fence. When the patio was put in, it was actually lowered to 2 to 3 inches. And we're still standing, where we can look over top of the fence without any effort. We would like to have some privacy in our backyard. And that's why we're asking for this request to raise the yard level and put the fence at 6 feet above the retaining.
Questions, comments from the commission?
I know we've allowed, where we set that fence back from the retaining wall, we've allowed it to be 6 foot.
But it's not sitting on top of.
Yeah, not sitting on the back a certain amount. And we've done it several places I can think of.
It was
A couple
done.
adjacent to City Park mainly is what I'm thinking of, so.
When we did those, it allowed for planting strips, so you could put some greenery in there to kind
Yeah.
of soften the height.
So he's got it back a foot, is that enough?
Got it back a foot everywhere except on the west side.
So
I want to just
I'm wondering about the reason.
Just make that condition and thing down.
I'm wondering about the reason for that, for the rule that the 6 feet is from grade, because this seems like it's a condition that exists here and there around the village.
I submitted a plethora of photographs.
Yeah, no,
And there
I,
were a number of retaining walls all over the village with.
yeah, I don't doubt that it exists, so the rule, the guideline as written results in the fences not serving their intended purpose in situations where the yard is not at the same grade as the road.
So I remember we had this conversation a while back.
Yeah.
Specific property. And the conversation came back to, what's the purpose of a privacy fence? The purpose of a privacy fence is to provide the occupants with privacy from prying eyes outside.
Privacy. Yeah.
So a 6-foot fence from grade provides people from looking over the fence from the roadway. A privacy fence is not meant to prevent the occupants from seeing over the fence. That's not providing any privacy to anybody else but other properties. So I think that was one of the conversation argument pieces about the purpose of the fence and the height. So with that conversation in mind, 6 feet from the public way is where the commission kind of got to. The issue of the grading and does a 11-inch short of 6 feet cause a problem to the landscaping and whatnot. The offset for that was to push it back to provide some planting, so it didn't read as a 7, 8, 10 foot.
Well, that's the other problem, is it looks like a gigantic,
Yeah.
Right,
gigantic wall.
right now, we have daylights. And I'm planning in that area too.
So I think the flaw in that logic, Anthony, though, when you think about it, is if you're standing at the edge of the fence, and people can see from the alley, so you're not private.
So they can see your head from the alley. What if you're 7 feet tall?
Well,
You start getting on that slope, what is?
I'm 5'9".
so
I've actually had a
Anthony-
conversation with a guy who was 7 feet tall about this issue.
so it gets worse when the retaining wall's even higher.
Correct.
And patio comes out that far, and all they do is put up a 2-foot fence
Mhm.
to get to the 6 feet or a 3-foot, and every time they stand up,
And that's where the setback precedence has come into play.
so that we could get the full height.
Exactly. So
So I
that
think
is,
it's all the same page.
so is the proposed setback
Enough.
provided enough to mitigate 6 feet on top of the 11-inch tall retaining?
For me, in this location on a side street and everything, it's not a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't look, I mean, it actually looks kind of short when you look at this photo.
Yeah.
It looks a little out of scale because it's so short, yeah, so I'd be, yeah, whatever that distance is, maintaining it all the way around. Makes sense.
And this isn't really a side street.
They try very hard
Now.
to make
Yeah.
that side presentable. Of course, the village would love for that side. I'm just asking for some reasonable.
Some of us remember when it was much worse.
Sure. We just had to have a conversation internally, make sure we have all our background decision-making in place.
The retaining wall is now 1 foot of stone retaining wall.
Not now, I'm proposing
Because we
to
supposed
put,
to the
it's up,
existing,
basically would be about 11 inches to a foot.
but the existing is only 8 inches at most.
Right now, there is none that's actually set. Now, when we moved in, the actual development, when we redid the home, it was filled to all to that level, all the way up the fence. They were using the fence as retaining wall. It was full of mulch.
I mean,
The timbers,
that are
though,
laying there right now acting as a retaining wall. How tall are the timbers?
That timber's 6 by 6, 5.5 inches. And that was put there just because of erosion. The mulch was going down the sewer.
Yeah, I'm okay with this. What was the proposed material?
Stack limestone,
And
blue
the
stack
cedar
on
fence.
gravel.
What are the caps of the drawings?
I'm a woodworker, so I just kind of designed some gaps.
Okay, they're wood.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel good about this application.
what else?
Motion to approve. Is application 7 GD-22-06-027808 Neighbor Street. Submitted.
Second.
Just want to clarify, the as submitted is a 11-foot tall stack stone with a 11-inch tall stack stone with 12 inches of space from the rear of the stone to the fence.
That's what the detail shows.
Yep.
And I'm sorry. I messed up. You're okay with amending your application to take that all the way around the west side as well?
Sure, I'll set, yeah,
Okay. So as amended, yeah. As amended. Thank you.
no problem.
Any questions on the motion?
Did we get a second? Okay.
Any questions? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have you make me some nice planners.
Chairman Harkey, if I might have just a second. I've actually got a professional obligation in out of town. I have 595 South Third Street, so I'd like to respectfully request that be tabled until next month's meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Moving ahead to item number 8, GV-22-02-028, 900 South Third Street. If you please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Chris with Everlasting.
Proposed work description, repair and rebuild existing box gutters on the north and west eaves. Box gutter to look the same as existing with no change in design. Remove existing aluminum soffit and fascia as needed. Add new aluminum fascia wrap and reuse aluminum soffit material if possible. If not, material will be replaced. Add rubber liner to reline the existing box gutters and to reuse existing downspout. Staff analysis, the existing 4x4 aluminum siding and aluminum soffit and fascia material was approved in 1980. COA number 8813. At the past June business meeting, commissioners requested clarification for the box gutters. They asked applicant to clarify if the box gutters are or are not vented. If there is not existing venting in the box gutters, they should remain as such and not have new venting installed. Commissioners asked if any of the soffit materials at the gable ends will be replaced, as well as the soffit materials underneath the box gutter repair rebuild areas. Staff recommends that if all aluminum flashing around box gutters will need to be removed for the repair, aluminum should remain removed and leave the wood fascia soffit exposed. Staff does not recommend wholesale replacement of the aluminum fascia wrap or soffit material. Basis for staff recommendation. The proposed work is generally consistent with 31-1611 standards for alteration, number 2 and number 6.
Anything else to add? Questions, comments from the commission?
Support what HBO said regarding aluminum wrap.
It's a weird one, though. It's there and it was approved previously. Do they even have to apply? They're just replacing in kind.
They have to apply to replace in kind, but question will come on the commission whether we approve in kind or say no. Don't have.
I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. It's a weird situation. I'm just
Yeah.
asking procedurally.
I think it's because it's, the old aluminum is being removed. Therefore, we're saying just don't put it back.
That's what HBO is.
My head's at.
The correct past runs, basically.
The issue that I see where you guys are coming from, we've rebuilt box gutters in German Village on numerous occasions, and we always go back with wood, and we've switched to using oral products just because they last longer than wood. With this one, with how things tie in and how everything on the second story original part of the building is aluminum, like the rakes, we aren't touching the rakes, we aren't doing anything with the rake edges on the building at all. It's just solely what is at the box gutter that we are redoing. That's why I'm pushing for aluminum. If we were redoing the whole house, if that's what she was at and where she was at and what she was wanting, then absolutely I would be pushing her for what she already had, an addition / remodel on the backside of this building that she switched everything to oral or the LG side. I don't know what exactly it is. We didn't do it, but she's already made that switch with the addition, trying to refurbish the house. Yes, down the line, I could see her trying to do that with everything. And at that point in time, yes, it would be more feasible, make more sense to redo everything. But with redoing the roof and the box gutter liners are shot. You guys know as well as I do with the village, once those liners start going, it deteriorates everything underneath of them. And you just get into even more of a headache with trying to fix the building. That's the only reason that on this particular one that I'm pushing, wanting to go back with aluminum. Otherwise, everything that we would go back with.
And if I could paraphrase for you, it's kind of a, where do you stop? You start
Exactly.
because of the corner.
Yes, that's, and that was my thing. How can I tie in and make it look good? Yes, I would do my absolute best, but it's somewhat of being a perfectionist. I don't see a way to make it look decent without it going back with aluminum, but tying into wood to aluminum. So,
So my comment would be to do the right thing. And even though for reasons you're not doing the rakes, et cetera, in aluminum, you do this the right way. So that in the future, when you, the job of going back and replacing the rakes and whatever else that's in aluminum, you do it in boral, it's all done right. So it's like, this is the first step. Do it correct. Do the best you can to make the two live together. So in the future, it's corrected all the way.
And it's the box gutter on, is there a box
I
gutter?
mean, I think it's great that you're doing
yeah,
it.
there's one on both sides of it.
So where that lower roof is, there's also a box gutter right there?
No, that's got a K gutter.
Got it.
No, it's on,
Oh, I see.
it's on the side of Whittier and then.
At the other side, there's gable and then along
Yep.
here. Page 6 of the application, you can see it.
I get exactly what you're saying, Mike. So do this the right way. Future fix the rest too, if it happens.
Okay.
That's just mine.
My perspective, applicant coming to us, asking to put back what is there, that was approved at one point in time. I'd have a hard time saying, no, you can't do that. If the applicant chose to go the route of doing it the quote right way, I'd be in support of that as well. So I leave it up to the applicant to amend if they choose to. I'm not going, I can't tell them no off the bat right now.
I will.
Which is a perfectly acceptable response from the commissioners, so. There's one person.
Yeah, no, I'm on the fence, Anthony. I hear what you're saying, and it's,
That's kind of where I was at with the commission approving it before. That was another reason with going back with what is there. Again, like I said, any other time, this is honestly, I think, the first one that I've come across that has ever been aluminum like this. And with everything else being aluminum, that's the only reason pushing for it. Otherwise, most of the box gutters we do don't tie into rake edges. It's all box gutter all the way around. the
Oh,
house.
yeah.
I will ask the question, are you able to reproduce what is there exactly like for like? And the reason I ask is we have other properties, vinyl siding specifically, aluminum siding specifically, where they wanted to replace 1 out of 4 sides of the property because of some kind of damage. They couldn't get the same profile, the same material that was there before. In that situation, it was like, well, you're going to have 2 different non-appropriate materials that don't look the same. And so you start getting a mismatch. If we're going to mismatch, we want to just go mismatch to the correct way.
All of the fascia I can remake because we do all of that ourselves. I've got a 10-foot break in my office. The soffit, everything is intact. It's all still there. I intend on salvaging that and reusing it. And the handle, I might not even have to take it down as long as I can get the fascia off, get to the rafter tails and do what is needed with rebuilding the box gutter itself or for the rafter tail sister. I'm sorry, I stumbled right there. But if I can leave it on, that's basically the route that I was going to go, where I don't even take it off, as long as it's fastened appropriately. But one way or the other, I intended on salvaging it. So.
Tricky one. Heard from 3. Anybody else have an issue with the application as submitted?
So if make sure I'm clear, we're being asked to approve something that was done that the commission previously approved. Yikes. Hard to say no to that, although be better if it was being done right, but very hard to say, no, you can't do what you did.
So I can put up a
approved.
fence in front of my house with piers and rubber iron between it because the commission's approved that before?
if it's exactly the same.
Oh, come on, you guys, we've denied it.
On the same house? I mean, I understand if somebody wants to do something somebody else did to a similar house, that we shouldn't repeat the mistake.
South Fifth Street, Bradley's old house was stopping for putting the piers back in.
don't think that was approved at the time.
Yeah. The original piers with water, yeah. Not way before my time, anyway.
Yeah. Not,
But they came
Not
back and wanted to
us.
do it, not us.
but the commission.
And we said no. So I'm just pointing out,
I don't remember that case specifically, so I can't speak.
I'm just pointing it out.
I'm generally opposed to the idea that we're stuck with the precedential effect of bad decisions that the commission has made in the past.
Agreed.
But that is usually when we're asked to approve something that we've approved before.
Not the exact same.
It's
thing.
not the exact same feature on the exact same house. So this falls into the category of replacing like with like.
Which was my initial question, but I think procedurally that gets kicked back to us.
That's why with Morgan, I just assumed it was gonna be staff approved.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that it's going back like for like, and I've never had an issue with you guys, with anyone, with like for like. So I was surprised when I was told I had to come to one of these meetings. So
Well, and now you see why.
I don't mind coming, it's just I was surprised.
Trying to make this compliant now.
So did you say you may not have to take the siding? The
I
aluminum?
might not have to take this off.
In that case, I have no problem with leaf staying. It's only if it's coming off, it seems to me an opportunity to.
It just,
to be
it
better.
depends, everything, it depends on, once I get digging into it, what is there, what is not. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever worked with one that has had the aluminum wrap on all of it in the village. It's just, they kind of dig in and see what is there, and what I can and cannot reuse. So,
Chris, if you could,
I feel the same way Ned does. It's coming off. I remember having discussions before. If you're taking off inappropriate material, you don't get to put it back. Or replace it with inappropriate material.
even if the inappropriate material was approved by the commission.
Right, because you all said.
That's practice changes
change.
over time, yeah.
Change over
I
time.
guess at some level, I'm concerned about the fairness to a property owner who buys a parcel, and I'm not saying this is the situation here, but a owner who buys a parcel, sees what it is, and fairly presumes that what's there can be replicated. Now,
Me. Okay, I think I understand.
so,
where when you go back to doing repairs, you can go back
Yeah.
to something. That's kind of where I am at with it.
Right, it's different than saying we want to do this and what was there was historic, we want to replace it with something. It's not.
Right,
Then it's,
right.
well, you have the commission.
So,
on the other
So-
hand, if someone wanted to pull vinyl siding off and put vinyl siding back on, new vinyl siding back on, we'd probably say no.
Haven't we said yes? I thought we had.
no, we talked them out of it.
Okay.
And,
Vinyl siding.
and my question of this is.
No,
if-
it was aluminum siding, though. We did let somebody replace aluminum siding.
That was done.
On Pearl.
Yeah.
So
House
if,
I used to
if
live
this had not been approved by the commission before, and I have no problem if you're just doing the liner and leaving it as it is, that's fine, because it's not touching it. But if it hadn't been approved by the commission
Yeah, well,
before,
then I have no problem.
yeah, but if it hadn't been approved by the commission before, and he was taking it off, I think you would say it needs to be improved and historically be correct, which would be not be aluminum.
So I think the challenge of our application says new/reuse aluminum soffit. New/reuse aluminum.
Yeah, the freeze board's wrapped.
Yeah.
So that's good. What's that?
The freeze board's wrapped.
They're coming off.
No, the freeze board, we don't really have. It's deteriorated, so the freeze board, I have no intentions of.
So if it said existing aluminum soffit, existing aluminum freeze on the detail, and your whole opinion would have been different, right? So to the applicant, the intent here is to just simply
fix the box gutters, replace the wrap on the gutter, but leave everything else as is.
Yes.
And so that's an amendment to the application.
Yeah.
And if that comes off and gets replaced, they have to come back.
Yeah, I mean, if he's just relying on the gutter, and he may have to rework some of the aluminum to make that work without taking it off, I have no problem with that.
What about the fascia wrap? That is intended to be replaced. That's this piece here. You're okay with that, Ned? Well, assuming everything else is the same. Fascia wrap.
I mean, if it stay in place, it all stays in place.
So did I hear the applicant has amended their application to say that the aluminum soffit freeze boards will remain?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I move to approve item 8GV-22-06-028 900 South Third Street as amended by the applicant. Clarity of the motion. If the aluminum soffit and aluminum freeze boards do need to be
And we switched.
replaced, we need to come back to this commission.
I was gonna say, honestly, if it needs to come off, it's one of those, I could probably talk to her about it.
Okay.
If you want me to come back, that's fine, but if you want to put a stipulation in there that if it needs to come off, we can go to board.
Replace it back to the original.
Has replaced on the back half of the house.
It definitely could be staff approval, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
just-
As amended.
Go through
Yep.
yeah,
approval if I need to make that.
yeah, that would just be staff approval for that one. You're safe and good to go.
Yeah. Awesome. That's the motion.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor? Aye. Against? Yes. Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you for the
Yes.
conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for your patience with it as we work through it.
I move ahead to number 9, GV-22-06-029 978 Yeager Street.
This applicant is unable to attend due to health issue. But because of the nature of the application, I wonder if we can still process it since it is a hidden tree.
We can give it a shot, right?
Yeah. Read it in.
Oh, yeah, that would be helpful.
Happy to take it on.
Just read it earlier, so I'm like, I already read it, right? Applicant is proposing to remove deteriorated elm tree from backyard, is extending over neighboring roof over south property line. Removal has been advised by 2 certified arborists. Work with Allen Arbor for recommendation for replacement shade tree. Tree has had maintenance with cables and pruning, but has had heartwood decay at the base of the tree. Staff analysis at the past June business meeting, commissioners requested applicant to select a tree species for replacement prior to the hearing. Applicant has selected either 2 options, first choice American sycamore or second choice white oak. Staff recommends approval of any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate. Basis of staff recommendation is 311613, standard for site improvements, letter A.
All right, any questions, comments? Problem with the 2 trees proposed options?
Chairman, item GV 2208-029, move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Item number 10, GV-22-06-030 561 City Park. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Please state your name for the record.
Proposed work description, applicant is proposing to replace existing fixed and swing door wood on the northwest corner rear elevation. Replace the door with option 2 Pella Lifestyle sliding door, 71.25 inches by 79.5 inches. Standard clad exterior cladding with unfinished pine interior. Staff analysis, staff initially looked into the file to see if the existing wood French door was approved for install since it is on the rear of the original brick structure. Staff was not able to locate a COA for the approval, but located a photograph in the file from 1988 indicating that there was a window in the original opening but was removed. The past June business meeting, commissioners asked applicant to clarify what the material is of the existing door. Applicant responded stating the door is constructed of wood. Staff recommended a new door to match existing design and material in lieu of the aluminum clad sliding glass door. Basis of staff recommendations 3116, standard for alteration. Number 2 and 9, and German Village Guidelines amendments, door replacement, page 6, the door is not original or contributing. And door openings should not be filled and or altered to accommodate larger or smaller replacement doors. All doors need to be fitted for each individual opening.
Anything else to add? Quick. Questions, comments from the commission?
Take these parallel things, there's so many pages.
So there used to be a door and a window, or just used to be a window?
From the picture here, Commissioner Dirks, it looks like it just is a window. But that's the only photo I could find, just of evidence of what was back in that rear corner.
So the door just made a wider opening,
Yes,
longer.
yes.
It looks like it had a stone sill and now it's got a soldier portion. Yeah. Or stone lintel on it. So
Somewhere in the last 35 years.
the proposed slider, it is a wood or is it? So we're just, you want to change the style of door, be a slider instead of a swing door.
Yes.
But you're okay with it matching everything in every other respect to what's there?
The new door,
Yeah.
the interior or the exterior? Both.
Glad.
Oh, it's clad, not wood. Yeah. Not an original opening, not an original door, and I understand where staff's coming from, but I don't have a huge problem with the slide.
It's also on the rear.
Yeah, rear. It's not just in the rear, it's like, yeah. I don't, personally.
It's the only way to get the back of the opening.
Yeah, because you're right up against the property line of the house. Not hearing anything else, I'm gonna make a motion. Item 10, GD-22-06-03561 City Park Avenue. Motion to approve as submitted.
Second. Any questions on the motion? Those in favor? Aye. Against? Let's have it, motion passes. Thank you.
So before that double door was put in, there was no way to get to the backyard. Right.
Here.
Probably. Maybe out the cellar.
Moving ahead to item number 11, GV-22-06-031, 220 East Sycamore. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Will Laynard, Space Design.
Thank you. Morgan.
Proposed work description, proposed work for the front yard, removal, replacement of existing plantings and retaining wall and new configuration for plan. New retaining wall to be limestone and dry laid on a gravel base. Wall to match existing retaining wall height. Infill regular limestone pavement on public sidewalk, brick to match existing. Replace existing concrete paver steps to the front porch with cut slab limestone steps. Wrought iron fence to be added along frontage to match existing fence to the west. Proposed rear yard work to be addition of bluestone patio on aggregate base, addition of brick fireplace with limestone cap per elevation, new 6-foot wood fence to replace existing fence in same location, new plantings per submitted plan. At the June business meeting, commissioners requested applicant to add the dimensions on the fireplace elevation and the elevation of the proposed limestone retaining wall from the grade, including final grade height of front yard. They requested applicant to clarify in the site plan where the proposed replacement steps will be located. Applicant has clarified all information and included clarifications within the plan and supporting materials. Commissioners asked applicant to clarify if the fence is 6 feet on grade or if it will be on top of the wall. Applicant responded stating the fence will be 6 feet from grade. They also requested applicant to clarify the setback from the west property line where the proposed fireplace will be. If there will be a code issue with the placement, applicant responded that there will be a 3-foot setback from property line and is indicated on the plan. Staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions that the height of the fireplace be lower or match the height of the proposed 6-foot tall fence. Basis of staff recommendation is somewhat consistent with 311613, standard for site improvements, letter B, and German Village Guidelines, fences and walls, page 118, number 7 and number 8.
Anything else to add?
I do.
Questions, comments from the commission?
I just have one question. Infill regular limestone pavement on public sidewalk with brick to match existing. Where's that at?
I'm sorry,
Infill irregular limestone pavement on public sidewalk with brick?
yeah, there's, existing irregular limestone, kind of loose. It's not, pavement's maybe not the right word.
Okay.
Like stepping stones that are arranged in the landscape.
Right here, right?
Planted.
Exactly, yeah, and the tree line.
Oh, and the tree, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's, okay.
So we're just cleaning that up and
Gotcha.
adding brick.
Yep.
Leaving the magnolia tree and the contextual plantings at the flare.
Got, yep, I understand that.
The existing trees that are elevated right now are five, those two little trees.
In the back, or in the front, yes.
The new blooming tree.
Yes, we're gonna replace, crab apples kind of growing into the magnolia tree. Want to keep the magnolia tree and the tree lawn and replace with the blooming tree, kind of framing the front architectural facade.
You know what the blooming tree is yet?
It's probably gonna be a magnolia, or sweet bay magnolia.
My only question is on your plan, you mentioned match height of existing 1-foot 5-inch existing wrought iron fence. What is that 1-foot 5-inch reference to? Assuming it's a typo.
It might be a typo because there's no fences in Dreamer Village. And that. But yeah, it's
that's taller than 1'5". Yeah.
yeah. So there's a detail here.
Yep.
Just gonna showing what's there.
That's fine. I just want to make sure there wasn't.
I had Fortin go out and measure it because they have fabrication drawings. In case you guys are okay with the extension of the fence.
But to note though that, well, okay, it is matching post, got it. So the new post on the fence will match that same
Yeah.
style.
Exactly.
One drawing is a little bit misleading, that the posts are not correct on that.
Yeah.
It's the fence.
That's just off the website. That's Fortin's. You know.
It'll look like the one that's drawn.
Yeah. Right.
It's 3'4", so you know. It's gonna be nice. Any other comments?
Commissioners, I did forget to mention something in my staff report that was come to my attention earlier, what I've discussed with a mature tree in the rear that is being removed, just as that pretty well placed with another tree in the rear, correct?
Yeah, so we're replacing it with a large, I'm trying to remember. It's a specimen tree. I believe it might be it might not be another magnolia, but it's gonna be a different species of magnolia. I think we're in the office, I have it noted as it's a teacup magnolia, I believe. It's gonna be.
So both the maple tree that's where the fireplace is going and the other one that's noted as dead tree are coming out. That's what.
Yes. We're also adding trees along the boundary, which we're gonna plinth into a hedge. The They'll be upright and skinny trees that'll be plinth together.
The upright evergreens on the east side there.
Yes.
My only concern is that if we're taking out the maple tree, which would be a shade tree, it sounds like there's not a shade tree going back in the plan.
Well, that particular tree will get between 30 and 40 feet tall, which will be taller than the building. The existing maple that's there, I'll get a picture of it, I believe it's on here, but
Yes.
it has a pretty skinny canopy. It's been trimmed away. One side, 2/3 of it had died and they cut that off, so 1/3 is left and it's hanging over Bill Main's house. He's very worried about it. But the one side of the trunk is fairly compromised. So
See in the photos. There, yeah.
yeah, it's not in good shape.
More comments? Are any more comments? The motion. Item 11, GV-22-06-0031, 220 Sycamore Street. I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Yes.
Thank you. On to item number 12, GB-22-06-032, 897 City Park. Hi, how's it going? If you please raise your right hand. Settled. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Denise Craig.
Proposed work description, replaced existing 40-inch by 40-inch Roosters corner wood sign with new 40-inch by 40-inch high-density urethane that's been routed and painted. Sign was installed 2 years ago. A new fabric awning over existing approved frame. Awning design was installed in 2016 and 2002. Brewster's neon sign in the front window, 2 feet 8 inches wide by 2 feet 6 inches in height. Smile for the camera sign, 12 inches width by 18 inches in height. Staff analysis, this application is in response to a code violation. The existing awning frame and corner sign bar on the structure were originally approved in 1990. The design of the awning fabric and wood sign have changed over the years without COA approvals for the design change. The awning design changed around 2002 and 2016, with 2016 being the most recent change, according to the documents the applicant provided. Corner sign was changed around 2020 with new design and material, with the original sign being constructed of wood. Smile for the camera signs appear to have been installed around 2011, with the neon sign being the storefront window location since 2009. Staff recommends approval of annual clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions, and that all future design changes be reviewed by historic preservation office staff. The condition that all signs or frames be installed via mortar joints. Basis of staff recommendation is the proposed work is consistent with CC 311618 approvals required, letter C.
Anything else to add? Questions, comments from the commission?
I'm seeing this correctly, the smile for the camera sign is not, at least one of the screws is not currently installed more installed directly to the brick, is that correct?
It looks that way.
Yeah.
Morgan, did you say the neon sign was never previously approved?
I did not find record of that.
But this is inside inside the restaurant that we've always had a Rooster logo sign there. But, you know, those neons do burn out, so it has to be changed. So if we need to approve each change neon every time that changes, a light goes out. I mean, we've never done that before. So, I mean,
It's on the interior window, right?
we're willing to do whatever. I'm sorry.
It's inside,
It's inside.
it's not, typically deal with the stuff that's on the inside.
So we can change that, because it burns out, so, and like the window has been busted a couple times, which then busted the neon, so then that caused us to have to get another neon, which, our distributors would give us, so.
The, typically though, if they're gonna do a vinyl application on the inside, changes the exterior view, we would want that approved, right?
Sign versus graphic versus a decoration.
Yeah, it's hard to decide.
Yeah, typically if it's applied to the window in the past, we've considered it an application, a graphic. If it's a fixture inside, hanging on the inside, not permanently fixed to the building, typically a decoration.
I'm perfectly okay with that, just trying to make sure you understand how.
I think that, to me, anybody disagrees, I think the three things we have before us is the awning of the door. The second one is the sign at the corner, and the third is the smile, you're on camera sign. Just working with the awning at first, is there any comments, thoughts on the awning?
Yeah.
But-
Historically, we've not approved awnings with that much graphic on it. But this is so far down the road and so late.
Say, looking at the awning that was there before, there was a graphic on it. May not be quite as large, but there is present for a graphic.
To clarify, that 2002 application was approved? There was an application, or none of that was ever?
Yeah, none of it was ever approved.
Yeah.
The initial approval was for in 1999, for the corner bar, for the corner sign bar and the existing awning frame.
Yeah.
And that graphic that is seen in the previous materials with the eggs.
Going back to 2007, there is a graphic awning. So graphic awning has been around for,
But never approved.
It's just the change in design. It's not
Yeah.
received approval.
Say that again, Maureen. There was a graphic that was approved, but not this graphic?
Yes,
Okay.
so in previous materials, there was an original graphic from 1990. And there has been a graphic design change to the awning throughout the years. And from our records, I'm just looking online, it's 2002, 2016.
And do you find the amount of graphic on there objectionable?
Historically, it's not something we approve.
Yeah.
I mean, we had down the street black awnings with scissors and combs and stuff on it that we politely asked them to remove after installing. So it wasn't quite as visual as this is. But my point going to the fact that this has been up there for a while.
Well, it's complaint based, right? We don't see it unless somebody complains, right?
Well, I drive by it all the time and I don't think of it as being not approved.
Gotcha. Presumed it must have been.
I presumed it must have been approved by somebody somewhere sometime. And I don't keep track of how many times it changes. All right, got it, can't.
now I'm going back to,
I'm not a commissioned cop walking around the village.
I'm looking back into 2007, 2009 on Google Street View. And the size of the graphic that was there before looks, from this view, relatively comparable with, let's say, today.
Yeah.
So to me, it's been there of that size, been replaced to something that is the same or matches what is there currently. I don't have a case in my book to say what's there needs to be removed. The sign has changed style a bit, but overall the size, content doesn't seem to have changed significantly from what was there.
You say sign, you're still with your frame.
The corner sign.
The corner sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple.
It was just rotting, it was regular wood, so
We
that's,
typically don't approve non-wood signs that have wood grain. I don't know about the size.
You know, it's interesting though, that this one is almost like cartoonish on purpose. not trying to be
Not
wood.
arguing with that, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really, doesn't look like it's really trying to say I'm actually a wood sign.
Well,
Trying to.
it's no more pretending to be real wood than the rooster is pretending to be a real rooster.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Cartoonish, huh?
Yes.
I think the challenge we have with the smile for the camera sign, outside of whether or not we think it's appropriate as a signage standpoint, we don't like the screws going directly into the brick. We like showing it to the mortar. And if it had come to us, and if we had approved it, we would have said so. So,
Damage is done.
right. That's right. The damage is.
Well, but the separate issue though is whether we're going to go down the path of permitting businesses to be festooned with signs, whether they're drawing attention to the cameras or depicting the hamburgers on the inside.
I imagine that was put in place to try to keep people from throwing things in the windows with the
So
sign.
just to let them know we have security and, people try to break in the middle of the night, steal TVs, and we just want people to know that they're on the camera just to try to deter someone from breaking in, but obviously that doesn't really help, so whatever you want us to do.
I would say, going back to the Google Street View, it went up sometime between 2009, 2011, somewhere in that timeframe. It's been there for 10 years. Personally, if I had my recommendation, I would say take those signs off out the exterior wall, mount them interior, suction cup kind of thing. And at that point, it becomes a decoration, not an affixed sign to the building. I think that makes this entire
So just put it
justification moot.
inside the window.
I think that's the
Okay.
easiest course of action.
Okay, absolutely.
I like that idea. Didn't hear any problems with the awning or the corner sign as it's deemed.
Yeah, I just think challenge it.
Next time, get a,
Yes. So are you willing to amend your application to have those two smile for the camera signs removed from the exterior and
Yes,
whether or not you put them as decorations on the inside is up to you.
yes.
And repair the holes in the brick to the extent that that can be accomplished.
Yeah, we can have our maintenance guys do it. They're great.
I don't know what you would do. Order?
no, you grind up brick and mix it with epoxy and shove it in there.
I think either option. Okay.
As long as it's the same color.
Okay.
Same color,
Yeah, so it doesn't repair the brick.
it actually repairable.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I move to approve the item 12 GB-22-06-032, 897 City Park Avenue, as amended by the applicant.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Abstaining.
We will abstention. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I still go to this roosters, even though I don't live anywhere near
Thank you.
it. All the
Have a good one.
Moving ahead to item number 13, GB-22-06-033, 120 Reinhardt. Once you're both settled, please raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Please just name for the record. Thank you.
Charles Weaver with Architectural Applications.
Thank you very much. Morgan?
Proposed work description, applicant is proposing to rework existing brick courtyard area to accommodate new multi-stem flowering ornamentals, monoculture ground cover, canopy veil, west hedge along existing fence, deciduous shade tree and tree lawn, coordinated with city forester, brick walls which are existing, the new privacy fence gate, rework placement style privacy fence and gate that separates terrace from auto park, fence to be the new dining terrace to new bluestone with brick soldier border with 36 inches to 42 inches boxwood green walls. Porch screening will include new west trellis panel to screen neighbors' rear yard and new steps to grade limestone slabs. West side yard will include new bluestone stepping stones set in brassfield pines with new foliage alongside of the house. New front steps to be stone slab with while retaining porch floor. Existing brick retaining walls will receive a color mortar mix to match the eastern neighbor's age brick planters, add new plants per submitted drawing or design. Staff analysis, application was previously reviewed and approved for a new addition and exterior alterations, COA number GB 2110-027. After initial review, staff had informed applicant that the style of fence is not a typical style that has been approved in German Village and recommended board to board. The past June business meeting, Commission requested applicant to provide elevation heights of the front yard and side yard for the proposed fence and brick walls. That information should include the grade information. Commissioners asked applicant to indicate the site plan where the description of work is taking place and suggested using arrows to help organize the descriptions. Commissioners stated the fence style being proposed has not been approved in the past. They additionally asked applicant to verify that they will be using a permeable base under the permeable pavers. Staff recommends approval, any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate. This is based off of, the proposed work is generally consistent with 311613 standard site improvements, letter A and B, and German Village Guidelines, fences and walls, page 118, number 2, 5, 7, and 8.
Anything else to add? All right, questions, comments from the commission?
Sorry, clarify the addition, proposed addition is not a part of the application, is that correct?
No, it is not. It was approved in October of last
Got
year.
it. So
Just-
this is, okay.
Or-
Got it, thank you. Trying to listen as you're reading that.
Yes, I got a little away from the microphone, so it was my fault.
No, it's me. I'm slow.
I have information to take in.
Yeah.
So for clarification, the proposed fence since the business meeting has been changed to board on board. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah. Letter states.
Anything on your end?
No, I think it's all fine.
Chris, something on your end?
All good.
I will move to approve item 13, GD-22-06-033, 120 Reinhardt, approve as.
Second.
Question on the motion? Those in favor? Against? Abstains? Have it, motion passes.
I'm not sure who seconded, that was really close.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, item number 14, GV-22-06-034, 772 South Fifth Street. And if you please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, all truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And please state your name for the record.
Tim Bibler.
Thank you very much. Maureen?
Proposed work description, applicant is proposing to convert existing covered porch to sunroom. New sunroom will maintain current roof structure and will be built on existing slab. Build small roof over proposed door on the north elevation. New doors and windows to be Pella Architect windows and doors from the approved list. Proposed siding will match existing siding with floral siding product. Staff analysis, the gable framed addition off the rear of the main structure was approved in 1979. COA number 7987, with the covered porch being approved in 1999. The window and door openings that will be removed on the rear addition elevation will be from 1979 and not from the historic structure. At the past June business meeting, the commissioners wanted to clarify that the addition is framed. They also asked if zoning variances were needed. Staff recommended the commission offer design feedback and continue the application for further discussion at a future meeting. Basis of staff recommendations, 311606, application for certificate, letter C, and 311612, standards for new construction, letter A and H.
Anything else to add?
Nope.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Okay, I just got a question. Why do you think there should be further discussion?
Just since it has been presented to the commissioner for the first time.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, just for initial
Okay,
reviews
yeah.
to see, since it is new construction.
gotcha. I only have one comment, Mr. Bivler.
Yeah.
Is there a bracket on the other side of the door also?
Say,
Right here, there's a bracket. This side, but the other side is just kind of.
Hanging there?
you know, that's a good question. And I don't know whether the intent is to tie it into the existing house because there's a, like you've got a foot there.
Yeah, structurally I understand it, but aesthetically?
The other thing is that points to the neighbor's house. And you really, nobody can really see that except maybe the neighbor if they look out their window.
I'm not arguing with that, but I'm just saying to be architecturally better. That's all, that's all I'm saying.
Good if you can see.
You could say yes, and we never know that you didn't know it.
Yeah, I was gonna, the only comment I would have would be on the arch top doors, but it's it's infield new addition and it's not seen from the public way, so I can get over that.
I like the bracket idea, but it doesn't give me heartburn. It really doesn't give that much heartburn if he did.
Just leave it, and he goes in and out of the door and just keep seeing. One bracket.
He's gonna see it now when he goes out there every time.
You'll remember me when I'm gone.
Put a little grass plaque on it, that the memorial bracket.
Hearing no comment, more comment. I'll move to approve item 4B, GD-22-06-034-772 South Fifth Street, as submitted with the option to add a bracket on the right side of the door if the applicant so chooses in the future.
Second.
To match the proposed brackets.
Yes.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
I just didn't want you to have to come back and talk to Ned again.
Nobody lives.
Whatever looks best, but so.
It just, to me, I would like it balanced, that's all.
Looks like, even if it's not structural, it looks like, look, that thing's gonna fall.
The application is closed. Moving ahead to item number 15, GV-22-06-035, 862 Mohawk Street. The records show that Ms. Hugus cannot attend due to other issues. But they would like to
Have us try.
proceed if they could. Did they mention that to you?
Not fully, I don't believe Mr. Hugus did, but he just said he wasn't able to attend.
He did contact me outside of the hearing to relay what he was supposed to tell you. He mentioned that if the client's question of paint versus no paint on the brick on the new garage could be answered, they'd like that. If not, then continue the application.
That will, if you decide to continue that. If we decide to discuss, that's up to you as well. So, however you wish to proceed.
This is just simply, the application is to paint
Paint the brick.
the new garage.
What?
Do you want me to read it? first?
Oh, yeah, yeah, please.
Let's go ahead and read it.
No, you're fine. No worries. Proposed work description, new garage was previously approved in December 2021, GV 21-12-027. Previously approved design included natural brick on the east elevation. Applicant is proposing to paint previously approved brick in lieu of leaving it natural. Staff analysis at the past June business meeting, commissioners asked applicant to clarify what type of brick was originally approved in December 2021. Applicant responded stating they will be using the thin brick series of Glen Gray OSU blend. Staff does not recommend painting brick, though it is part of new construction. Basis of staff recommendation is German Village Guidelines Masonry, page 38, number 6.
It's a thin brick on a new build. It's a gray brick do we have?
My question is, if you're gonna paint it, why even do thin set brick?
So,
Oh, it's already built?
yes,
It's
it's
already
that garage
made,
right there.
okay.
It's already been built. It's a thin brick, gray brick color already.
Decided didn't like the color.
Wait, that's,
No, the building hasn't been constructed.
is
yet.
not big.
Yes, it was just approved to start.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
in
It's almost the
December.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are just examples.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
just
okay.
example, I mean, this one's on back and the other one's on South Fifth. Yeah, that's my point. If
Why
you
not
want
just
to
change
paint
it to a black thin brick or something?
Or,
Yeah.
or just do the siding.
It's a weird.
I mean, thin set brick to me is enough that is a bogus material to begin with. It's an application, not a real material per se. So if you want to paint, you want to make it a color, get rid of the brick.
Keep the color brick you want.
Approved painting brick.
And well, that's where I'm going to. That's eventually where I circled around to.
The only
Sounds like we should continue.
The only time
Yeah.
we've done that I can recall recent, in my time that I'm aware of on the commission, is when the language in the application specifying paint brick was obscure, was hard to see, and we approved the application without noticing
Foundation.
that they were gonna paint the brick.
Yeah,
I'll move to continue.
I think so.
Item 15, GV-22-06-035, 862 Oxford.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Moving ahead to item number 16, GV-22-06-036, 595 South Third Street.
Applicant had to dismiss itself, so tabling.
So we're continuing.
Continuing.
Is there a motion to continue?
Mr. Chairman, number GB-22-06-036-035 South Third Street, I move to continue the application.
Second.
Commissioner Foley first. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Moving ahead, item number 17, GV-22-06-037, 584 South Third Street. Should both settled. If you please raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Steve Lane, the owner.
Thank you.
Josh Metzinger, CJU Restoration.
Thank you.
Proposed work description, applicant has removed the first 6 feet of the roofing slate and the one by roofing deck on east elevation prior to COA. Removed slate will be salvaged for reuse. Applicant proposes to remove the exposed existing 2x6 rafter tails and replace with new rafter tails with sufficient length to sister to the main roof rafters. Install approximately 270 feet of new 2x6 rafter tails with the bearing ends of each rafter tail fastened to joist hangers at the new blocking. Install approximately 120 square feet of new tongue and groove wood soffit on front eave overhang. Fasten 2x6 rafters internally to the porch header with tie-down hurricane straps per submitted drawing. Install approximately 204 square feet of new 1x decking and roofing underlayment. Add 2 additional brackets on south elevation. Prime and paint with 2 coats of the exposed undersides of the rafter tails to match existing. Staff analysis. Applicant has performed this work prior to COA. Applicant sent the application in around beginning of April. Staff requested additional information about the project for roofing plan to indicate material needed to be replaced, removed, and additional drawings to indicate how the new rafters will be installed. After further discussion with staff, applicant agreed that an exploratory COA would be the best route to provide the additional information of the existing condition of the rafters and deflection roof. Applicant had not received the exploratory COA before removal of the slate and exposing the rafters along the eaves. The slate has been removed with a few damaged slates in the process. I think 2 or 4 that's been discussed in that. All beadboard, tongue and groove around the eaves of the removed slate site have been removed. The past June business meeting, Commissioner recommended the commission take the time to look through the report provided prior to the hearing. They additionally asked applicant to clarify what the green markings are on the south elevation. Staff clarified stating that there will be 2 new additional proposed brackets installed to match the style of the existing brackets on the south elevation. Staff recommends approval of any all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate with the conditions to retain as much historic fabric and materials possible for new material to match existing like for like, and to find an alternative solution to supporting the eaves on the south elevation in lieu of adding the additional brackets. Basis of staff recommendation is proposed work is consistent with CC 311618, approval is required, letter C, and 311611, standards for alteration, number 2, 5, and 6.
All right, anything else to add?
I think that's.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Good clarification. Maybe I might be figuring it out as I'm looking at it. So the original had the skip board sheathing, right, for the slate, and then it had it almost looks like a tongue groove.
Yes, so the tongue and groove soffit was the sheathing.
Yeah. That was added later?
No, I think that's actually original.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's 100% original.
Oh, so
Yeah.
the-
But that
they
was
used
the
it because it was
decking was
exposed
like-
from below.
Correct,
And
yeah.
then they stopped and used the skip board. Okay. Got it. I would love to see that go back.
Will note that I was over there last week at the meeting house and took a peek over at the property, and you can visibly see all of these deflections that they're talking about.
There's a very telling picture with the level.
Yeah.
We had a forensic engineer that was hired by Steve's insurance company. Two of our engineers, Ken Garrett, works for the university, so he's pretty thorough.
Motion?
So there's no evidence that there ever was brackets, additional brackets on the south side?
There, not that we can see.
I think they were there.
It's, yeah,
They wouldn't have just put into.
it makes sense. It's just the shape doesn't appear to be original, so that.
Yeah, and that could.
Without taking the shake off.
I think the only thing I would say is we should probably discuss is staff recommendation of alternative to supporting the eaves in the south in lieu of adding brackets. Is there any other options that are out there?
So the eaves, we wouldn't be adding brackets, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. So what we do is we would, the extra, I don't know, the extra raptor tail, so there's an extra bracket there, where we would go back to what the original was.
He's talking about the south side.
South side.
Yeah.
The overhang portion.
Of the gable.
And that's
Yeah.
my comment, Anthony, is I think there probably were. Typically, I'm sure others, I think there would have been more than
The two.
I think there's 4 there.
Well, there's
There's
four total, two on each side.
correct, currently.
They would have been regular.
I don't know, I've seen some houses where they're just decorative and really far spaced.
Yeah.
In this instance, they're definitely not decorative.
Well, maybe they were decorative and that's why it's failed.
Well, yeah.
They're missing.
I didn't remove.
Basically shows the number, so you're trying to add one. in the middle.
And we actually have a detailed, the engineer's report. Kind of gives a kind of baseline picture.
Keeps moving on.
What page is that?
That's page 27 of 70. I'm gonna try to look at it.
I got the laptop and I can rotate. What you think?
And the new brackets, so I got up there with Ken, we measured them exactly. We'll replicate them in the wood shop, so they'll match exactly.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Just a question from a preservation perspective. So should the brackets match exactly, or should it be differentiable to identify if they're not original?
Well, that's the thing, do we know that there never were brackets there before?
We don't know either way.
Either way.
So if, I guess one route, I mean, if we're putting brackets, if we're putting them in an area that we would surmise is the area that they should be, we're going to have to remove a piece of shake.
So you might be able to find if there's
Some
some
evidence.
That'd be helpful.
That might be the, yeah.
If evidence that they were there, yeah, replicate them. If it was not there, yeah, technically they should be a little bit different, so someone in the future would know that these were added brackets, but it doesn't have to be.
Significantly
obvious.
different. Okay,
I mean, the only other thing you could do is kind of
They're pretty simple to begin with.
yeah, they really are.
somehow reinforce.
Could make them slightly thicker, add to the structural aspect.
Or that overhang piece is not as long.
They just,
Make the leg a touch shorter.
so weird, they're using the top chord is like in the wrong direction, right?
Yeah.
They had just turned them, they probably would have even been better, right? The two
Yeah.
guys.
We probably would be sitting here right now.
Maybe that's what you do, because that's gonna help your situation. You somehow make the top member of the new one have a better structural profile. Then it'd be clearly different, but match maybe the overall, the chamfering of it, and you just make it a little, to your point, make that top chord basically a deeper member, so it has a better structural profile. Does more what you're trying to do, and is clearly different.
Because right now it's like just balancing on a
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah, it's such a bad.
And the placement is going to be center of each
Yeah.
gable, so it would still have symmetry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So, yeah, you can make the top piece deeper, the slope that matches the roof, and just have more bearing.
If you find evidence of there originally being something, you start to remove,
We will not.
replicate. If you don't find evidence of it being there originally, then make the small changes, being discussed. Just differentiate enough so someone in the future can tell that that's not original.
Gonna help you, they're deeper anyway. You'll get a better structural profile out of it.
Kind of hoping that there's not a,
Yeah.
if there isn't.
And it shouldn't cost much more than just changing the top member.
Any other questions, comments?
So I'll motion to approve item 17, BV 22 06 037 South Third Street with the clarification. If there is evidence of as amended by the applicant, if there is evidence of the existing brackets where they plan on putting the new brackets in, that they would match the existing. If not, they would modify them so that the top member is a deeper member to differentiate.
Second.
Question on the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving ahead to conceptual applications. First one is number 18, GB-22-06-038-175 East Deschler. Once you're settled, please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Zachary Borovets with Suncraft.
Thank you. Morgan?
Proposed work description, applicant is proposing to add 26 feet by 13 feet pergola over existing rear patio terrace. Proposed pergola to be attached to existing historic structure. Materials to be used will be treated pine and fiberglass columns. Fiberglass columns will cover the treated pine posts. Staff analysis, applicant had initially submitted application as a request for action. After review, staff recommended applicant to continue as a conceptual application. Staff informed applicant that German Village typically does not approve an attached pergola to a historic structure. Staff recommend that applicant consider proposing a porch roof in lieu of a pergola, since a porch roof would be more appropriate in style. The past June business meeting, commissioners stated that they do not normally approve of attaching to the house. They typically suggest self-supporting pergola in lieu of attaching to the main structure. They would suggest finding other means and methods for the pergola. Staff recommendation, staff does not support the design of connecting a pergola to the rear of historic structure. Staff recommends the commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at future GBC meetings. Basis of staff recommendation is 311612 standards of new construction, letter F, A, and the proposed work is generally consistent with German Village guidelines, new buildings, garages, outbuildings, page 113, number 2. Garages now buildings should be located toward the rear of the property detached from the residence. No action required.
Anything else to add?
No.
So conceptual, feedback, questions, comments from the commission?
Agree that we absolutely love pergolas to be attached to houses.
Right.
If
And
you
I
could,
don't remember ever doing a fiberglass sleeve over a treated lumber column before.
that was my other question.
Yeah, I think that's, I'm sorry, that's new.
Yeah.
I know currently they would match on the existing front porch if you were to go to the front or.
Really?
So if you look on the front, the picture, you can see, I mean, maybe they're not the exact same, but they're the same style. So
Same
if you were to
style,
zoom
but-
in.
But are they, are those fiberglass?
And those ones might be wood, but they're
Okay, yeah.
fairly similar how they would look.
Yeah,
Besides
our
the
concern
cost,
is-
there's a deep, like,
Our concern is the material,
the wood and the fiberglass, because they be
Fiberglass.
painted to match.
fiberglass, yeah.
Fiberglass would be painted after the fact to match, after approval.
So you weren't here,
So,
were you here for the previous discussion about a fiberglass door?
no, I mean, I don't know, I might have been here.
Okay, were we asked that it be a wood door?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hate that's opening the door to fiberglass fences and all kinds of stuff, which I don't think we would like, so I think that from a comment standpoint for me, I agree with it, Ned, that like going to wood, and then if you want to do the pergola, you just gotta detach it from the house, put columns.
That would,
supporting it.
there was a few things I know that you guys had mentioned, doing like a real porch roof, maybe either like a rubber roof or figuring out a way to make it work so it's either shingles or rubber. The big thing is that in the kitchen, in that house, if you were to go out, like let's just say, set 7 feet from that window, that would basically make the board pitch black. I mean, it would be a very dark room.
I was actually commenting that I'd be okay with the pergola as long as on the house side, you're not attaching it to the house. You're providing columns and pulling it away from the house.
We've allowed other people to do exactly what you're doing.
Okay.
It's been approved, but it's been stepped off the house by an inch or two.
The only few things, and I did, mention that, the big thing is usable space, so that walkway, the posts themselves, I mean, if we were to change them to wood posts, just doing a wood post with no fiberglass column, that would, make the walkway a little bit less narrow in between where the two, pergola sizes change, where it comes, in between, explain it, where that bump out is. If you
You're
were to
talking
add
about, if
another,
you put a column here, you're gonna have a narrower walkway, is what you're.
yes.
I get it, but we don't want to attach a non-historic item to a historic structure is the issue.
And then in the back, right where that bump out starts to come out in that back right corner, there's I guess back before this was, there used to be a greenhouse there. And you could see on the rear house wall, there was like a rubber line where it was attached on. And then it was removed. So there's draining underneath there. And I guess now there's a gutter there is a gutter that runs down and goes underneath you can see it up against the house. So if you were to put a column in that corner, down below, it basically just drains underneath. So it doesn't just drain onto it wouldn't be something you'd be able to move. You would have to, either block that, move the downspout and take it off, or go somewhere else with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard without seeing it, to figure out how to do that. I think there are ways to do it. I actually wouldn't be opposed to taking the columns for the pergola and moving them off the porch. Because if you take these columns and move them off the porch, then this column's no longer such a walkway issue,
You need to pass the retaining, the brick wall into.
I'm sorry, say again?
So where are you proposing to put them? Like past the brick wall?
Yeah, exactly.
Or the rear of the property?
Yeah, I mean, if that helps you get the space you need
On top of the brick wall.
on top of.
I mean, there was a thought of doing that. I just didn't know how structurally sound they were. I mean, it could be something that could be done. Is that something you guys would be more inclined to?
Yeah, I
looking
think that, I
into?
mean, the issues for us, and I know the design challenge is on you. we don't typically allow, if you try to attach it, we're likely gonna not approve it. So trying to find a way to not attach it is the design challenge, if you want to do the pergola as opposed to a true covered roof. I mean, that's speaking for me, I don't know, everybody else. So,
Yeah, I think the other statement I would have to jump off of that is looking at plan view on page 7. Right now, got a column placed
top of the stair.
at the far bottom left corner. Kind of got one, I'll call it 2/3 of the way to the right. Then you step back and have 2 columns back there. No, there's nothing saying you couldn't move those kind of 2 columns that are back to back, reconfigure those, double up some supports, so you're not having kind of column, and then a column by the house constricting the walkway. If you can get rid of that, say the 1, 2, 3rd column, if you can find a way to remove that structurally, it opens up that walkway again. So I think there's
Beam of some kind.
yeah, there's some design options if you go with columns along the house. The placement of columns is really, it's a design issue. If you pull the columns from on the raised patio up onto the wall is an option, bring them down past the wall and extend them down to what I think looks like a mulch bed currently. It's another option to get more space on the patio. There's a couple options from a design standpoint structurally to get more space up there and get the solution to work. Where the columns are placed with a downspout, that's a design issue. Obviously, you don't want to put the column on top of where the downspout's got to run, but you have some way to move it back and forth a little bit. I think it's really comes down to the design selection at that point.
The main thing is, I know that the homeowner did want to have it, covering that door. I don't know, I did note on the plans that there was gonna be an additional like 6 inches on center slats on top of so one section is a little bit more raised than the other to kind of give it some definition, so it's not just one flat level. The reason why I just stepped back a little bit is just to kind of give it, so it's not, one big pergola, I'd say, just to kind of give it some dimension. I mean, we've talked about, a bunch of different options. I mean, I could, repropose the idea of just doing the pergola on, let's just say the left side of, the plan view, just over like the larger portion, or it would just be 15 feet by roughly 12'9". Not covering the door side. Personally, I don't believe that, that there would be any thought of going past the wall, just because I don't think it would look too good going into the mulch bed. Maybe going onto the brick wall would look good, but that's something where I'll have to go back and talk with him.
I think the other thing that's out there is you did mention, there used to be a greenhouse or something back there. You do zoom into the photos, it's a little grainy, but you can see the outline of where a structure was attached. There's historical evidence of something being attached, and that potentially opens up a path for attaching something again.
Mm-hmm.
What we attach is up for debate. What we would allow to be attaching is up for debate, but getting more historical information about what was there, what the size of it was and everything else, that may open up a pathway to get something attached. Again.
So I know it was, I'll have to see, it was basically right above the lintel. It was about 10'3" above where the existing patio or greenhouse floor is. That's about where it is. I can see if I can find a picture, since it is, the house of this historical value, I presume. Because I know that there are holes in the wall, in the brick, maybe from like concrete bricks, Tapcon screws of some kind, or were they used back then. So would you prefer for me to find a picture to present at the next meeting?
I would say to me, that's the only way, the only path forward to get something attached to the house is to find evidence of something being there before.
But it wouldn't have been a pergola.
It would not have been a pergola. I think that's the only other piece there is, it's not a pergola. And if it's not of the same footprint, then it kind of makes that point move.
Yes. I would have to see what the footprint was, but I presume it was probably that same, within those brick walls. I don't think those brick walls have changed.
Uh,
That brick wall historic?
That would, because my next question is, if we could find the historic photos, that might tell you how new or old those walls are. Those walls are a 1960s edition, then that might start changing the conversation a bit.
Got the bonding, it looks like it may be. But it's for however, it doesn't call common bond. Just like
Is
the
that
house,
yours?
not just the house.
Are you guys fine with the way that the pergola posts would be attached to the existing patio? Or basically attaching with galvanized post bases and tack-on screws?
Do you know if that's any historic material on the patio or what's on the patio currently?
It's like a greenhouse tile.
It's a greenhouse tile, what, it's like a ceramic?
It might be more like a slate, because I know that it's kind of, it's here, I mean, it's kind of falling apart.
It's not, obviously, the patio that's beyond is added later.
Right.
Maybe historic material, so you might have some problems there. If you could get some pictures of it in the next application, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And a little bit more detail of that. If it is, I mean, we'd love to see it, I would guess, in the grout rather than through the stone. You can,
Tiles are in bad shape.
Yeah.
Right through it. Cracking and blocking.
it's a
If
small-
they have like presumption of wanting to replace it, I know that they had mentioned that down the line, just because it's not something that they particularly like. I know they've lived there for, I think they've said about 30 years.
My only other concern from a structural perspective is you have a pergola. If for some reason we got to the point of allowing it attached to the house, you don't know the stability of anything underneath that floor surface. So you're in a condition of, if any weight forces that tile to settle, you're now putting stress on any bolts, anchors in the brick as that pergola starts to do this over time. So that's another reason for keeping it not attached to the house. If you had it on separate posts disconnected from the structure, if there was any settling, it's just on the pergola itself. It wouldn't be putting any extra stress on the house. So that's just another piece of not wanting to attach to the structure.
So would you be fine if we didn't have like the ledger up against the house wall, but then let's just say brought the post in, like, I mean, basically had the, what are they? The 2x6 treated pine slats that are 12 inches apart, having those go up, but you basically up against the house wall, but not attached, and then having the post kind of
held
pulled in,
off. Yep.
but just nothing attached to the house wall.
Right. We wouldn't have that ledger board or anything down up there.
Okay.
You have just a small inch gap between the wall and the wood.
Okay.
Let the water through and not settle is what you want to do.
Okay.
I think it'd be. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand fully the post base details. I know you've got a 4x4 coming down. Got a cap. The 4x4, is it just, what's the detail? Is it like a column standoff or?
I mean, I can get a detail as far as the.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Understand how it's attaching. Is it going through something that's historic or not?
I mean, there would be Tapcon screws that would be holding the base plate base. And then basically you have the post sitting.
And you're just gonna screw through that slate?
That was a presumption with the Tapcon screws.
Doesn't require a foundation.
Post. I mean, we weren't pursuing putting a footer in, jacking out it or doing sprinkles.
Stats.
Yeah, we weren't expecting to do that.
I would be structurally, I'd be concerned screwing through that slate because it's gonna, I don't know what kind of attachments you're gonna get. It's not a structural architect.
And as far as, I mean, this, certificate or COA, I mean, when we submit for permits, this is going to have all the details needed that will be approved. But as far as the, appropriateness, that's the main reason why.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out here.
we'd be concerned if, whether or not that material that's on the patio itself is historic. And then how these posts are going to affect it. So that's why we're concerned about the details, not necessarily from a structural standpoint. You're right, we did go a little bit off a tangent there.
Is there a
Like to
link
see
to a
the-
database or something where I could, on my own time, look up the address? Do you guys have anything like that?
I can look in the files of just past work that's been done on the patio. Information about that. Photos may be in there, but they may not be.
You can also reach out to German Village Society, and the rep is right there behind you. You
Okay,
can look at house files there as well.
okay. Sounds good.
He's grabbing a card out of his wallet as we speak.
Seems like there's a picture where it shows umbrella folded up.
Where? Oh, yeah, I don't know. They had an umbrella, but they don't particularly, I mean, a pergola, they don't really provide shade. I mean, it's something where, could get shade from a pergola. They're not, there's no plans, but they just want something where, they can kind of sit outside and kind of deflect the sun. But it's not a roof where, if you were to put a roof over that, it would get fairly dark. You would need a lot of light. You'd either have to put sunlight, either a skylight of some kind. But, they just want something out there where they can, something over their head, but not a real roof.
It's like a forest umbrella. Sometimes we'll get shade. You'll move.
Who does good with their shade plants.
Yeah.
Sure, so you need to do a pergola someday.
Any more information you'd like from us?
Yeah, and I think it would be a lot easier if you just made like a squarish one that's just one shape and not try to cover, the door with the columns like sitting at the top of the step. That little piece right there with the offset columns and the right-hand column on top of the step.
It's kind of, I don't know,
It's a little awkward.
It hurts your argument to
mainly-
not have another post when you've got one right at the top of the steps.
It was kind of for design purposes, and that was something that I think that, is very artistic and, wants design. Anyone can kind of think of just doing a square, but I mean, I'll come back with something that will follow your guidelines and what you guys are looking for.
Thank you.
Much. No action required, that's conceptual. Next item, conceptual, item 19, GV-22-06-039, 592 South Third Street. Applicant here for 592 South Third Street.
Chairman, I move to continue GV-22-06-039.
For a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it. Motion passes.
For the review of conceptual.
Second
one,
conceptual, yeah, they were proposing to rebuild. Yeah.
In kind.
Yeah, a different
All right, then we'll move on to the last conceptual, GV-22-06-040, 757-767 Megan Alley.
I'd like to thank the applicant for sticking around through the whole meeting.
This is early.
CTO cases, so.
And we already have one applicant sworn in previously. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please take your name for the record.
Jonathan Hoag.
Thank you, sir. Maureen?
Proposed work description, applicant is proposing to construct a 1.5-story addition to connect the adjacent homes at 757 and 767 Macon Alley. Proposed addition will be set back from the existing alley and will be wood or board batten. The exterior will include appropriate skirting, trim, and corner boards consistent with the area. Small dormer with a low slope roof will be protected by membrane roof. The other exterior finishes will be GAF slate line shingle roofing, Marvin signature ultimate clad windows, middle OG gutters to match existing, and classic rock face molded block foundation. Staff analysis. Applicant initially submitted the application as a request for action. After review, staff recommend applicant to continue as a conceptual application since variance information has not been provided as of yet, since applicant is planning on combining in 2 separate lots. The following is taken from the unapproved May 4th, 2022 German Village Commission hearing minutes. Commissioner stated that this proposal is basically allowing for a connected garage. Commissioner McCoy stated that the addition connector appears to be sensitive to the guidelines. It is staying back from the historic structure with the original porch remaining. Commissioner asked to clarify if there was a single-story addition off of the rear of the historic structure. Applicant responded yes, but didn't know the age. Commissioner stated that based off the floor plans, it appears the connection is tying into a small portion of the brick structure, but mostly to the single-story framed addition. How will the proposed two-story connector work? Applicant stated they will bring the rear portion of the roof down to a single story to respect the addition, but there's a 3-foot change from 757 Macon Alley to 767 Macon Alley home. Commissioner Harkey's hurdle is a structure with garage doors on the facade with the appearance of it connecting to a house to a garage. Second will be connecting separate structures with trying to prevent increasing wall capacity with the board and batten. Commissioners requested additional elevation drawings to be sent on the existing conditions for the elevations that are being proposed with the addition, as well as a section to see how it would be connecting to both structures. Commissioner Thiel does not have a problem with the board and batten, but does have an issue with the second-story horizontal trim board. Other commissioners suggested to remove the horizontal trim board and treat it as a single 1.5-story volume, but might seem too vertical. At the past June business meeting, commissioners requested applicant provide a demolition plan, roof plan, and to provide more information on the variances or process involved in the lot combination. Staff does not support the design of connecting the two separate properties. Commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future GBC meeting. Basis of staff recommendation 311612, standards of new construction, letter F, K, and German Village guidelines, new buildings, garages, and outbuildings, page 113, number 2, no action is required.
Anything else to add?
We did find out the rough age of that addition on the back, or an addition that had been done. It was between 1901 and 1920. From the Sanborn maps, just appears. So we got a window.
Somewhere in that period,
Yeah.
And that's the area that's called 1-story frame, you're saying?
Yeah.
Just so I understand the whole, I apologize, was it a business meeting? The garage building, the massive garage building, the portion that's on the L, is that all a residence currently?
Yeah. Yeah, that's their primary residence. So the smaller historic cottages, the more recent purchase.
I see.
So, yeah,
So that's a whole new building with no historic. Went through a process and got a certificate of appropriateness at some time. And the goal is to attach that to the historic structure. Okay.
I don't have the exact date. It's probably 20 years ago that that structure was built. Yeah, it may have even been. I think it was even further. I think like 91.
It was 1987.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Long time ago.
well, 30. Yeah, that's 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, so that is a primary structure, fronting to the alley, just as the historic structure.
The reason I'm asking, I'm grappling in this, or wrestling in my mind. We don't like the garages attached to the buildings, but it's already a structure with a garage in it. I'm trying to wrestle in my head if that matters.
Well,
the
more serious, it's a house with the downstairs garage.
Right.
It's that attaching these makes the historic structure completely subservient to the newer, bigger building. See how you can do this without making the historic home subservient to this giant thing.
Right. Carriage house of sorts, right? I'm sure that's what they described it as when they got it.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in this request also, trying to play down that connection in color choice and its setback, and just simplification of the articulation of the facade are all efforts to kind of make it go away. But I understand your question.
And still remain smaller than the historic one too. Try and not.
You know, there are places in the village where houses have been connected. But I don't think there've been occasions where the bigger house was so much bigger.
It's a big house.
And such a unusual structure that probably shouldn't have been built to begin with. And where the houses are so far apart that the connection is hard to hide.
It's not like you have two historic structures that are right up against each other and you're hiding a little connection back somewhere.
What about Fisher's House in Moselle?
I think,
Huge.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, it works.
You have those photos, if you could do a
It really
rendering
does.
that shows the actual colors.
And this is
It's a
so-
little hard to judge in the
In
model.
elevations,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The nature of this particular project, I think, a rendering, you know, let's look at this right here and show it, and we can better judge
I look at it, shit,
Yeah.
I look like it.
how it's gonna look. It's
Yeah.
I look
We're
at
doing
it.
that
it's a bold application. It's
wrestling with what
No,
the
I-
pieces that came before. You know, I think what may be worse. I think a rendering probably could help. I think the other thing that I think it was comments from, you know, the business meeting and some modifications that we made from comments based on what was discussed there. To downplay that, I think, do you want to go through those?
Yeah, there, if you recall, the original submission had the dormer on the front, and that was part function for the inside of how that second story was, for the second story of the connection was laid out, and then also, you know, trying to not have this large blank wall connecting the two. It was our first attempt at, you know, doing a small scale intervention so that it, you know, respects the historic house. One of the comments was that it did feel a bit out of place, and separately from that, in making some changes on the interior, the need for that window wasn't as necessary, so we started playing with that.
So
Looking,
before you go on, I don't remember that comment about the dormer being inappropriate. Because I was surprised to see it gone. I like the fact that it broke up that E line across there and broke the building in two, that addition in two pieces.
okay,
So I liked it. I think it was better with it.
okay.
So I was surprised to see it gone.
Yeah, there's something about that wall being a solid wall, you know, that really makes it feel massive.
I like that better. I really do, John.
I think, one other thing too, I think that having it there,
And I think the relationship of the window below and the dormer above adds a vertical element, which again breaks it up more.
I think that can be included. Like, I don't think there was any problem on our end about that. We may have misunderstood the comment. But with understanding sort of the perception of this and trying to work out how to represent it in a way that helps us understanding that setback, I would be interested in thoughts from the commission that move or help us move in the direction of these odd things that we're working with, the larger carriage house versus the historic cottage.
And the drawing's not helping you in that your trees you can't see very well. Right, right. So you're seeing all of this. Again, I wasn't here. This is something that COVID. That's why. Y'all didn't want to hear. And the fact that these line up makes it feel very attached. I think that if the subservient to both buildings, it would help.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it as a one-story addition rather than two-story.
Get that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or better yet, underground.
What's that?
Or better yet, underground.
I definitely see what you're saying there, and I was the one that had the problem with the dormer specifically. But the problem that I had with it was trying to be a two-story addition, but only 1.5. And typically on a 1.5 story addition, the dormer is not flush with your facade, it's set back a bit. I see why you're trying to get it flush is because of your, where the door from the window is in relation to that. I think if there was a way to bring that, the roof line down, so the gutter line was different, so it didn't just look like a continual band, which I think is just extending this longness, the linearness of the addition of the connection piece. That may help. I'm not sure how you can get that to work with the window being right there. Maybe it becomes a shorter window that kind of looks like, it visually looks like it's tucked back with the gutter being in front of it. With the extension of the overhang.
Yeah, I would be a fan of pulling this wall just a little bit forward and allow you the room to do that, even though you're gonna have a head knocker there, right? But I think that you're also limited in your section, right? That's what the challenge is.
There's also the historic house has a window there, so we didn't want to, we're already closing up one window in that connection, so we didn't want to, affect that by pointing that
So
forward.
on that elevation that we're not seeing, there's a window, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, if you go to the section page,
Page 8,
just scroll down. There we go. So, right, if we look across at the cottage, so we're just trying to preserve that. Another thing that we were thinking about in helping break that up was just extending that eave and the roof line down, but keeping the wall, the actual wall in place, so that there is a disconnection between those two. I think our initially we were trying to line them up, but I think we can probably deviate if that helps in the first
Typically
section.
try to make them, like, just
Yeah.
like you've done, the ridge is subservient, we want those eaves subservient too. I think that would help. I don't know if it gets you there or not, but I think it would help.
Just
Yeah.
a bigger overhang, do it.
Yeah,
Right, that's what I mean. It's that extension of that roof plane down, which, with the dormer as well, whether that's an extension of that facade or if it's set back in the roof line, I think that the breakup of that horizontal line is maybe a plus in your view versus setting it back. As if
I
it's
agree
set
with,
back
I
in the-
agree with that on that, so.
When I'm looking at it, and I realize what bothers me so much, not about what you do, and don't take this wrong, okay? Because I don't know how you address it. It's, go back to where we see the front elevation of both buildings. Yeah, so the new building is massive, okay? But it's got all these diminutive elements to it, where the addition that you're adding to it is structurally correct, architecturally to the house and the historic piece. But it's almost to me like you need to be doing something with that original house to get the scale of the garage doors and everything up to some kind of appropriate massing. And cutting that building apart aesthetically, to make it work better with what you're doing.
Is there a way to make modifications to the existing house to break that up a little bit is what you're getting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the garage doors are so damn low. And everything else on the building in the addition you got is so high. Yeah, it's a big thing, but it's all, I mean, that's what's driving me nuts about it is I think fixing the original house is more important than trying to modify the historic house by the addition to make it go with it.
Yeah, I think I agree that there's probably issues with that.
It's the garage doors.
Yeah.
I'm not saying get rid of garage doors.
Yeah.
Make them bigger or something, make them higher, I don't know.
Why or put something, yeah.
I'm just saying,
Sure that they set that ceiling height too low.
I'm,
Put a panel there.
I'm not saying that's the fix, I'm saying,
Luckily, I didn't do that.
I'm saying add architectural elements above the door to start breaking up that massing. Even if it's, I don't know, this is the problem, is all this mass up here. add some, if you're gonna do this, add some elements up here to start making it,
I mean, I hate to say.
break it apart.
An arch window over top of it or something.
Well, not just even a brick panel or something
Yeah.
built in there, just some, start breaking up the mass, because everything else is mass, is broken up. But that building mass across the front is just. That, I mean, the back of that house, yeah, the back of that house is the important thing.
Yeah.
It's just a garage with doors on it.
Yeah.
The back is where all the actions happen.
Is that just like a massive, like party room up there? Is that what it is?
It's like, it's almost flipped. So the
Yeah.
garage is down there in that building, and then the kitchen, living room, living space on the second floor. It is not that much more open on the back.
No. It's elegant space from where, I remember it was on the house and garden tour.
Yeah, it's very pretty. It's a big
Yeah,
space.
yeah, it's great.
I think that we can certainly talk to our clients about, what they could, things that could help that facade.
Well, if you look at if you look at the back elevation, I mean, that is already broken up. And like you're talking about with.
Oh, they've got the windows there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't want windows on the other side, to be honest.
Yeah.
The backside doesn't, yet, it doesn't look as bad from the back.
Right.
The front is,
It's because the windows in the back start to break it up and start to add rhythm and everything else to it. And which is the village. Village is pretty vertical. All our stuff is pretty vertical. This is one of the, and what looks so odd to all of us is because it's so freaking horizontal. And then all that mass above the garage doors doesn't help.
feels a little brutal.
It is.
Yeah.
It always has been.
I certainly agree with that reading of that building. I think we get into just a question of talking to the owners about expanding the scope to fix an existing building. I understand that.
So you guys are creative, cheap fixes.
I would say that typically on the additions to principal structures, historic structures, we always talk about the connector piece. This thing is a connector between two structures, but there's no connector from the smaller primary structure, storage structure to this piece.
Yeah.
So that visually to me is throwing things off. I get why it's the way it is, but that's one of the struggles of, okay, instead of having this, a connector into the addition, we're throwing that idea out the window and looking at this as a connector of two separate structures.
Mhm.
And that's hard to overcome architecturally.
Yeah.
And so now it's trying to tie two different things together, and it's just.
Different heights and different floors, like there's, there's sort of the technical aspect of it, but then there's also the appearance from the street, which is the important thing as well. If we, in an effort to maybe disassociate it more, and break up the horizontal aspects of that, is that line of investigation moving us in the right direction when we talk about this?
To me, your connectors is fine. The problem is it connects the original cottage well. I think it addresses that one. It's just there's nothing on the other side to talk to.
Right, because you look at the rear elevation, West proposing, there's something that feels good about it.
Yeah.
The way it's broken up and the scale, it doesn't make, yeah.
And maybe it's just it's the roof line. The roof line comes down further and looks like a traditional 1.5 with the dormer.
Yeah.
The front side's like a 1 2/3. Even with the dormer, it looks odd on the front.
Yeah, I think you're
So
right.
getting that roof line just to visually come down, I think
Think your dormer, bring the roof line down and make it more of a traditional dormer starts to help.
I'm surprised, Ned, that you're accepting of taking this roof and dyeing it into the existing roof like that.
It's not a slate roof, is it on?
It's not.
No.
No. It's back far enough and it's a different material, it's a different massing. Yeah, I agree with, I think maybe lowering the eave on it a little bit, make offset it well.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out why it should be good to me. I keep realizing it's because the existing house, how in the hell do you talk to that it goes back to what you're saying. The historic building doesn't talk well with, they don't have a good conversation back and forth between them aesthetically. We're putting this piece in here that's, I think it's different enough that it works, but it just, I don't know how you make the original house, the original 1987 thing talk to anything.
It's so different.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question, just as we're talking about details of this, because I think it gives us maybe a broader palette to address some of these things. When we talk, things that are coming to mind is like, we can, in the connector, we can address some of these items with roof slope and with some other things to try and not, not make it so related to that historic structure, and maybe even get that roof line down a little bit. So we've offset it, but there might be a little bit of room to move that down further. Now we're talking about the association with the historic structure, not the other one. But from the board's point of view, because you only see one side of it, would playing with that roof slope, making it different than the backside, we're trying to keep them the same. But if we can play with that and they're not, and you don't see the difference because you never see it from the side, is that an acceptable way to think of it?
That's good architecture.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
That's good. That's what architects do to make things work.
I can do.
Especially in the fact that you can't see it from either side.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, the old Tudor houses, the roofs went up and they were made to look like that was the ridge. It was flat up there.
Yeah.
That's how they dealt with it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was flat up there. That's how they dealt with it.
So I think there's probably some ways that we can think about the connector and its association with the historic structure. As far as the less historic structure.
It's not 50 years yet.
It's really close.
TikTok, TikTok.
I know, we can.
Be contributing.
I mean, we can talk about a lot of things with our clients, certainly.
Yeah.
Right? And to make an improvement, but I think at some point, that's more of a wish list item. Just because it's a different scope.
And I'm just speaking of what aesthetically is right.
I'm pretty good though. You're right.
But to Ned's point, I mean, I was going, well, if you add windows and things like that, that's expensive, but are there, I want to say gingerbread, because you don't want it to be you don't want it to look fake, but are there things you could do that are less invasive to that existing facade to just break it up somehow?
Well, I mean, just the way that you may treat over the garage doors, having some idea of overhangs, just to break it up. I mean, there are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faux shutters.
Faux show.
Faux shutters, which we hate typically.
We can throw some vinyl windows in.
Well, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, a window blank is a thing that's done for that reason. Sometimes you have blanks that are bricked in, you have blanks that are just, they look, I think we just had an application that we approved with that porch addition where they were shuttering some existing openings.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a weird case for something that's like a shuttered opening, look over top of that's not that expensive, right? It's got to look nice. It can't be one of those cheap off the shelf Lowe's.
Glued on the face.
Yeah, vinyl things, but maybe there is an opportunity to provide something to that doesn't require something really basic.
We're not saying it has to be done. We're just saying that it
helps.
may open a path to get something else.
Well, that becomes a different association then too.
Yeah.
with the connector.
They all start to talk to each other in some way. Challenging project.
And I would say for everybody's benefit of perspective without.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing I was thinking, just looking at the page 8, which is the cut sections. The other question I have is does it make more sense to bring that front wall of that new piece forward, encapsulate that window there? I don't think it does, but
I'm all for as far back as possible.
Think outside the box.
Yeah, you've got that porch coming back too, those steps coming down.
The other question I had, just thinking, again, thinking outside the box. Is there a way to, do you have the access being off of the rear of the structure and give up the roof of the historic, one-story addition? That way you get that disassociation of the one to the other. Coming out on top of the one-story roof and then using that to connect over into everything. Gives you a little bit of gap between the primary, the original structure and this addition piece. Not saying it's a way to go, but
Yeah, here's. So we initially were, we thought we were going to end up in that approach just before we had all the measurements and drawings done. And I think we were both nervous that was going to be such an item on the back that when things did start to land where they were, we were happy that we weren't, breaking some of the roof lines and the eaves and.
We have a gable end there, and so our roof lines, trying to keep those separated on the backside from the newer building was one of the factors in its positioning. The
The sand bowls on this one are fascinating, by the way. I just got pulled into that. There was like a lumber shed there and all this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, I think with those reads from you guys, I think we can work to make some adjustments there to help that cause. The other half of this that, we're dealing with is we're, proposing to combine these lots with this connection, which tips us into a wider lot with larger side yard setbacks. But the two, where that's impacted is existing structures, right? That would be non-conforming. So either our sum of side yards or our side yards themselves of 5 feet here would not be current code, and that's what we would carry on to a variance process. Coverage is fine, rear is fine. There was a question about frontage, but I think we've got that cleared up because they're already fronting the alley. With those variances stemming from existing non-conforming structures, is there any questions that we could answer about that avenue that we need to pursue for this?
I mean, I don't particularly have, if you can get the addition to a point where we're all comfortable with what it looks like, and your variances are all for existing conditions that are happening because of the lot combo, I don't have a particular problem with that myself.
Yeah, and anything proposed certainly falls within something guidelines.
Wait, the setbacks and whatnot on the historic structure are already non-conforming anyway. So we're not exacerbating any problem.
Just, and it's not like, the addition's going between them, so it's not going further
It's not
to a side
new
yard or
conditions,
to the
it's just-
backyard.
There's new conditions that are now need to be applied that are going to be more stringent than what's in.
Just look, so that other box is part of a future application.
That's just location of proposed school that we're looking for. Or school, as they call it. Okay, and do you feel that for those reviewing and recommending those variances, that's possible once that connector design is established, or are those independent of each other?
We typically want the architecture first. That's how we look at it. That's because that's what we care about. And if the variances support the architecture, that's how we look at it.
But we don't want to grant variances for architecture. We don't know.
Yeah, a lot of times people will come to variances first, and we want to know what it looks like.
When you get to the point of variances, just make sure that they're sent out to the neighbors and.
Yeah.
Or we can have.
Yeah.
There have been some newer variances we haven't seen recently for carriage houses and things.
Carriage houses,
Yeah.
I guess the last questions I have for you guys too, a lot of the things we're talking about are some of the detailing, breaking up that horizontal, kind of getting our roof lines adjusted materially. Any concerns about the proposed materiality of that connector? Just the board and batten.
Don't borrow, basically.
Yeah, just board and batten. So they were just trying to have that be secondary, of course, to the historic structure, also the newer structure with that material change.
We did see a really cool application a couple months back that had a reverse board and batten. So it's a reveal. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It was a way for them to differentiate the front board and batten and the addition, which was reverse.
Yeah. That doesn't do it.
Looking forward to seeing that. Yeah. Yeah. So that was a really nice application. Tricky details on that one.
I don't think there's any traditional aside from board and batten, so.
Any other comments before we go back into the lab?
Excited to see what you come up with.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks. That is the end of the agenda. New business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I was gonna say, any questions on the motion?
No, not debatable.
Debatable. All those in favor? Aye. Against?
Not voting.
So,
I said not voting.
abstention over there.
Abstaining,
No such
voting
thing.
on the.
Told me I have to say not voting.
Then we're gonna vote abstention?
No such thing. It's an abstention. There's voting and there's not voting and there's recusal and there's such thing as abstention.